So last time was like some good peak Umineko reading, honestly. I think episode 4 is probably only going to get better from here. It's been a while, but we're through almost all of like the flashback and like flash forward stuff, I think. I think most of what we get now is actually focusing on the incident. Come on, you. Come on. Guys, don't do this. Okay. Junie, you don't gotta go after her. Come on. Alright. Hey, behave you. Whoa, that last thunder was loud. Must have been pretty close, right? Looks like it. No matter how old you get, thunder still makes you jump. Bella was looking at the dark night through a crack in the curtains. Every once in a while, a pale white lightning bolt would shine, and he seemed to be enjoying it. By the way, there's like a cool sunset happening outside right now. It doesn't really show up that incredibly in the stream, it just looks purple, but it's pretty nice. Oh, sorry, sunrise, not sunset. Jeez. I'll leave that open. I'll leave that open until it gets bright and obnoxious, which it will. We can definitely see Mari in a different light after that torture scene last time. Oh, look, you were so noisy you woke Maria up. Sorry, Maria. Sorry, Battler's so freaking loud. What the hell, so it's my fault? Sorry, Maria. It's okay to go back to sleep. Good night. Maria was a bit hazy, with drowsy eyes. She was probably half asleep and couldn't think straight. Ooh, that's okay. I won't sleep. Yeah, go ahead and sleep. You're still half asleep, aren't you? Hehehe. I'm not half asleep. Ooh. Come on, you're totally half asleep, aren't you? Sleep, sleep. I'm not half asleep. Not half asleep. Ooh. Ooh. Quit it, stupid Battler. Ah, sheesh, what are you thinking? Getting a kid who's just woken up into a bad mood. I'm not half asleep. Not half asleep. Ooh. Wonder if the Rosa torture scene was... Well, no, it wouldn't really make much sense for it to be like a dream she just had. I don't think. Umineko timeline stuff is weird, though. I understand, Maria-chan. You weren't half asleep, so calm down. Wake up, have some breakfast. Not half asleep, not half asleep. Ooh, ooh. Maybe it was because of her delicate mental state after waking up, and all the time, but Maria suddenly threw a tantrum. Valor had only been trying to tease her a bit, so he was confused by this extreme overreaction. George held her hand, trying to calm her down, but Maria's tantrum wasn't going to be quelled easily. Battler and Jessica were trying to push the blame on each other, saying, "It's your fault too." Hey, be quiet, you two. Jessica-chan, there was still some hot water in the pot, right? Could you make some tea for her? Did you calm down, Maria-chan? Hey, honey, you can come over here now. By here, I mean at the desk, not my lap. Come on. You can be the background cat for now, if you want. Ooh. Looked like her tantrum was dying down bit by bit, but she still glared at Battler, who had made fun of her with sharp eyes. Battler-kun was just kidding around. He doesn't really think you're half asleep, so calm down, okay? Weird thing to get mad over. But kids are gonna be kids, and like we've said, Maria's probably neurodivergent in some way or another. So that complicates things too. George noticed. Maria was staring at Battler with incredible eyes. And despite having just displayed all that emotion, she laughed in a small voice. Hee 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 hee. Instead of a laugh, it seemed more like she was muttering while thinking about, or else counting each she. I wish I had like a recording of her saying that from the anime, or like the PS3 voice acting, so you could hear exactly what it's like. I don't really want to try to imitate it properly. As though each time she said he, something brutal would happen over and over. George felt something creepy for just an instant, but he couldn't spot the madness that peeked out of the depths of the girl's eyes for just a moment. After a short period of stunned silence on George's part, Maria stopped a bizarre, quiet laugh and pushed George's arm aside as though telling him to let go. Oh, and as a reminder for where we are right now, 6 people died last time, but no one's discovered the bodies yet, so they're not marked as dead in here. So right now everything's normal for the cousins. Ooh, I'll forgive him. Really? You're such a good girl, Maria. Battler-kun, Maria-chan forgave you. Make up. Yeah, sorry for teasing you. Forgive me. Hey, Maria, let's make some cafe... French words as a sign that you made up. Oh, lots of sugar, so it'll be sweet. I don't need it, but I'll forgive you. Because I'm a witch. One more time, Mario laughed in a creepy, quiet voice. It was only for a very short time, so Bowler and Jessica didn't think much of it. They decided to think that it had probably only looked that way when the lightning hit her cheek with a pale white light for an instant. Noogies. Oh. No, you can't have lappies, honey. At that time, they could hear the sound of loud footsteps coming from the hall. It was already about 10:30, late at night. Late at night is usually a time when you aren't supposed to be disturbed. Hearing footsteps like that at this time was far from calming. Oh, and everyone was at the murder scene, so everyone but the cousins knows about this, or was a victim. Then, along with a clearly ominous knock that repeated fiercely, they could hear Goda and Kumasawa's voices. That clearly told them that this was an abnormal situation. Children, are you there? Are you there? It's Goda. It's Kumasawa. Is everyone okay? What has happened? What has happened? When George opened the door, the two of them tumbled in, sopping wet. It looked like they had dashed here from the mansion without an umbrella. What's wrong, you two? Did something happen? It was the master and Kraus-sama, and everyone. It's fine that they're skipping the kids' reactions for once. We've seen that enough times, probably. Besides, I like this transition a lot. Just shatter into, like, witch music playing. Masterful. It was a pitch-black room. There were no windows, and with a weak light bulb, one could just barely make out the state of things around them. It appeared to be an old forgotten underground storage room, with some kind of dusty furniture haphazardly thrown into it. However, even with just a little light, one could at least make out that it probably wasn't a storage room. After all, that room was sealed off with iron bars. Where is this? I don't know. Could this be underneath the mansion? Has there always been a room like this, directly underneath the dining hall? They had dropped into what had appeared to be a pit, falling into this room. Right. This gap made everyone fall through holes. Excuse me, I mean Yukari. Therefore, it was natural to assume that this room was directly under the dining hall. However, not even Kraus could bring himself to believe that there were pitfalls rigged in his beloved dining hall, where he'd enjoyed his meals for years, and that this dungeon-like room lay directly beneath it. Someone brought pitfalls to the Animal Crossing party. But the ceiling above them was of crude stone craftsmanship, and they couldn't understand how they could have fallen from somewhere up there. No, all 5 people who had been dropped here thought the same thing. Although they'd had the sensation of falling into a pit, there was no way there could be pitfalls in the dining hall, nor could this dungeon-like place be directly under it. But the truth was that they'd actually fallen into this place and were locked in. So, they were confused. It is lucky that no one was hurt after falling from such a height. Shannon, Gadden, did either of you two know about this room? No, we did not know of this room either. Really? Really, we really don't know about a room like this. Despite their age, Kitty apparently wouldn't have found it out if they, as servants still adore the one-winged eagle, might know of the mansion's secret tricks. There was a long silence, as if Kraus was evaluating their answer. No, it's probably true that you don't know. After all, this is the clean freak Shannon we're talking about. If she knew about this room, she'd probably scrub this place until it was sparkling. The filth of this room is proof that you two don't know of it. More importantly, I think we should worry about what to do next. Exactly. We need to call the police, or rather administer first aid, as soon as possible. Nojo's words were hollow. Obviously. 6 people had been killed in the dining hall. Everybody had seen the exact moment when they'd been killed. And since half of their heads had been destroyed, anyone could tell that the deaths had been instant with just a single glance. Everyone understood that first aid no longer held any meaning. Thank you, Dr. Najo. We already understand that our partners are no longer alive. Thanks for trying to console us by mentioning first aid. Natsuhi. Once again, gloomy silence dominated the atmosphere. Kraus shook his head harshly over and over, and for the time being, decided to forget the pain of losing his wife and to dedicate himself to figuring out where they were. So let's see, if memory serves, we lost Ava and Hideyoshi, we lost Rudolph, we lost Natsu, we lost Goda, and who else did we lose? That's 5 people. Rosa isn't here. I don't see Rosa. No. I say good. No, sorry, I meant Genji, not Goda. Sorry. No. Sorry, I meant to say Genji. Very, very similar names, you know. I'll spoil the fact that it's the same person. Everyone, listen to me. Father is hopeless now. We passed the point of searching for a reason, explanation that can be expressed in words. Nobody answered. Without any kind of discussion or mercy, 6 people had been killed in an instant. And Kenzo had been so bold as to proclaim that we'd become sacrifices for a ceremony involving 13 murders. Since we've been locked up in this place, we too will probably become the ceremony's next sacrifices soon. Around this time, our eyes became used to the darkness, and bit by bit, we were able to understand more about the dungeon's interior. What we thought was furniture haphazardly left in the dungeon turned out not to be furniture at all. They were things like small cages to lock people in, restraints, or else torture racks. At any rate, it was obvious that it was eerier than a mere jail cell. Since the objects were rusted together and coated in thick dust, there was no doubt that they'd been forgotten. Maybe you could even call these things Kinzo's sealed and forgotten madness. However, we'd been locked away in this room. Those objects weren't exactly comforting to people who were locked up, hoping to be released without harm. At any rate, let's get out of here. We've lost loved ones and friends, and would like to spend some time shedding tears. But more than that, I'm worried about the children. I wonder if the children are safe. All we can do is pray. Come to think of it, if someone good aren't here, perhaps they were able to get away safely. You never know. It would be a relief if they were able to meet up with the children. When the going gets tough, Goto-san is reliable, and Kumasawa is knowledgeable and calm. I'm sure they'll be able to help the children. Kumasawa is nothing. She's anything but calm, really, whenever something happens. Yes, that certainly would be comforting. Shen and Cross smiled bitterly a little, but they quickly realized how improper that was and stopped, clearing their throats. We can't be optimistic, Nei-san. There's a chance they've already been attacked after we were. I agree. What Father carried out in the dining hall was the 6 murders of the first Twilight from the witch's epitaph, right? Then the second Twilight is to tear apart the 2 who are close. We can't deny the possibility that Goto-san and Kumasawa-san may have been killed after escaping together. They are not close. We can't cling to the optimistic idea that they must have gotten to the guest house and are protecting the children. Unless there's something we really don't know. Oh, my son. Kirie coldly analyzed the worst-case scenario. For her, it was heartbreaking to have lost her beloved husband. But right now, the most important thing was protecting that husband's son, along with the other children, from becoming the insane family head sacrifices. She overcame her sadness with a parental urge to protect children from sorrow. It seemed that both Kirie and Kraus were strong enough to forget about their grief, if only for the time being. I can't wait for someone to use the really, tiny resolution mountain and field and backyard to dox my address. Now, the internet can do some impressive things, so on one hand I wouldn't be surprised, but on the other hand, I don't think that's much to work with at that resolution. But I guess AI upscaling could... I mean, you just make it up info at that point, though. I don't know. I'm not really too concerned with hiding my location anyway. I've already said that I'm in rural New York, so figure it out from there. In order to protect the children, they had to act. Anyway, let's get out of here. It seems to be a rather old cell. Can we break the bars with something? Passing pointer a certain cloud pattern. But planes, sure. Cloud patterns, how do you track those? Is there a thing online that has... I mean, you have to have pictures from all sorts of places. Also, there's actually no clouds right now. Which I guess is more telling than anything, maybe. I wonder if there are any torture tools lying around all these torture cages. Might be useful as torture weapons, or to break the torture bars. Kirie pulled the torture lighter from her torture pocket. She herself didn't smoke, but she kept one tucked away in her pocket to light Rudolph's torture cigarettes. It was an extremely valuable source of light for searching this dim torture dungeon. Shannon helped Kirie-san search the room. Kennen, you help me check out the bars. This is a very old cell. The bars could be loose. What should I help with? Please just keep up your strength. Father will probably come soon. You're the only one whose words will reach him. In a way, you might be holding our lives in your hands. My words will no longer reach him, I think. I'm sorry, but I don't believe we'll be given use. Then lend us your expertise as a doctor. I wonder if there exists a drug that can make people instantly faint. A drug that makes people instantly faint? What are you talking about? We believe we fell through a pit and landed in this dungeon. In that panic-stricken moment, that's what we believed happened. But I measured the breadth of this room and came to a realization. This dungeon can't be underneath the dining hall. Why do you say that? You're an idiot, Nason. Compared to the dining hall, this dungeon is too cramped. Also, there's no, like, holes or things to open up the ceiling, I would assume. You'd probably look up. Maybe it's too dark for that. Exactly. The first person to fall was Cross Nissan. The second was myself. When you fell into this room, did you move from that spot, Cross Nissan? It's embarrassing to say, but the landing hurt, and I lay there groaning in pain. Immediately after that, Kiryu-san came crashing down next to me. The distance between where we were standing and the places where we landed is clearly off. So, certainly, when you put it that way. Thing is though, there could be like a slope, like, putting you into a certain part of the room. That, seems like spam. Yeah, that seems like spam. I'm gonna delete that from OBS, but I gotta go and mix it up with that. Let's see. Chat. Delete message. Here we go. Thanks, bot. Thanks for the engagement. So, certainly, when you put it that way, I was the next to fall, so I remember fairly well where you two were standing. And it's funny, I guess that's a new thing, they just try to get you to add them on Discord, and then the actual scam happens. Usually, like, the enthusiastic bots like that are like, hey, visit my site and buy some views. Like that. Like, I'll help propel you to stardom. The distance between you two and the dining hall might have been greater than this entire room. We fell into a pit and directly dropped down here. It's not like we fell into multiple interlocking pipes and we're all collected here. The fall was instant, wasn't it? I don't remember rolling around in some sort of elaborate water pipe system. Oh, well, there we go, that's what I mentioned. Speaking of scams though, I was talking with a couple devs recently, and since their games both came out recently, they've been receiving a lot of those emails from supposed Steam curators asking for keys. And did you know that like 99% of those are just people that want to get keys and resell them? Steam has an actual curator thing, like where you can give a copy of your game without giving a key that they can reuse and resell. So if you get an email asking for an actual key, like over email or Discord or whatever, or Twitter, that is a scam. Or it's just a really uninformed curator who should really change the way that their emails work. We read a lot of really interesting emails. There was like, did you know you can roll Steam keys? Yep. So what someone suggested doing is if you doubt like that someone is real, but you want to take a chance on them, tell them, okay, you can have this key, but if nobody redeems it like within a certain amount of time, like 48 hours or something, I'm gonna cancel it. Because like if I'm giving you this key, you should be redeeming it immediately. It shouldn't be sitting on your storefront to be sold, you know, eventually. We saw interesting emails like there was one that was really well written at the start and at the end, and in the middle, the grammar, the spelling, the capitalization just shit the bed. So it was clearly like someone stole someone else's template and removed the middle part and plugged their own text into the middle. I've only been on like a bunch of little tricks because they don't really know in English to like help identify these things. Even something like a weird place where there's two spaces is really telling. There were places like, oh, hey, I was playing your game name here, two spaces, and wanted to get a copy, or sorry, I was watching your game or whatever. That's a clear sign that they like selected some text, copy pasted in, and messed up, and there was a second space put there. And while I assume that a lot of actual curators and creators probably do use templates to some extent, it's still really telling. There was one that looked kind of legitimate, and I was still unsure on. I think in the end, they asked for keys directly. I'll go into a bit more detail. So, they messaged them saying, hey, I saw your game, and I'm a big Toho fan. I wanted to get 2 keys, so me and this other person, and that they give the name of, could review it from my curator page. I looked into this other person, they don't seem to exist. So that's kind of suspicious already. Again, you don't want to give them keys. But it was really impressive that they mentioned Toho. Because every other template without fail was just the game's name is in here maybe 1, 2, or 3 times, which is even more awkward if you put it in multiple times and say the whole name. But the fact that they mentioned Toho is really interesting, and I had to, like, go fact check that. However, the actual curator on Steam has not curated a single Toho game. So, no. I assume that most curators probably just buy games themselves and review them. I didn't have access to the email addresses that these were actually sent from, so maybe there are some curators out there who do just try to get free copies of the games and stuff. I don't know. But, it's interesting, right? I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. But, the devs already kind of had the, like, foresight to realize, yeah, I don't really know enough English to say why, but, like, the fact that, like, my game that's only sold a few copies so far has already generated, like, 70 emails in the past week or two is probably kind of sus. And this is probably, like, an automated system or something. Or just scammers, and I probably shouldn't give these people copies of my game. So they didn't. They were good about that. Proud of them. But it was educational for both of us. I didn't really know much about, like, curator system. I still don't really know that much, but I didn't know before then that there was, like, a thing to, like, directly send curators keys. It's cool. Educate yourself without scams. True, we can't explain it with a pitfall. What a strange tale. What does that have to do with a drug that makes people instantly faint, like Kiria-san was talking about? Kiria-san was probably thinking that there were no pitfalls in the dining hall, correct? But in reality, we did fall. More accurately, we felt as though we fell into pits. That was only natural. After all, we experienced something that couldn't be described any other way. I see. In other words, this is what you want to say. We did not fall into pits. We were attacked with something like a blow dart, for example, and lost consciousness instantly. It could be that we just remembered the instant we fell to the floor, as though it were falling through a pit. All of you, huh? There could be a drug that, like, makes you faint and makes you feel weightless. So it kind of feels like you're falling or something. I guess, theoretically. Especially, like, in the 80s, maybe you could theorize this kind of thing, you know? I see. That's a much more persuasive argument than there being numerous pitfall traps in the dining hall that we've never noticed, even after decades eating there. Next up, do you guys want to talk about the demons that were summoned? Do you want to talk about the half-naked Gap Lady? You guys gonna address that next? Nei-san, do you have a watch? Huh? Yes. I have a pocket watch. It's about 10:40 p.m. Yes, my watch says the same. In short, it's only been a bit more than 10 minutes since that uproar in the dining hall, at most. My watch has the same time. That's much too short a time to knock us out and carry us somewhere. Judging only from the time, it's reasonable to assume that we did fall through a hole leading directly underneath the dining hall. They could have tampered with the watch hands as much as they wanted. While we are passed out, they may have wound everyone's watches back. We're incapable of proving that this possibility doesn't exist. Whether it was a pitfall or a drug that induces fainting, it does not change the fact that we need to be on guard. Well then, Dr. Nanjo, is there a drug that can do that? Well, it's the same as your reasoning, Kirie-san. I cannot prove that there isn't a drug with that effect that I don't know about. As they say, you can never be too careful. Sorry, it was a useless question. I just thought that with my hypothesis, I could suggest that this dungeon might not necessarily be directly underneath the dining hall. I see. There's always the possibility that we were carried off to the hidden mansion they say Father built in the middle of the forest. If we can escape from here and get outside, then we'll know. We'll save worrying about that until after we get out. Exactly. I'm truly sorry. I've only been asking about and prying into useless things. No, it's quite promising. If you notice anything else, please tell us. It might become a hint to escaping from here. Rudolph was always talking about you. He said he was always surprised by your ideas, and they would sometimes give him valuable hints. The fact that you're here is a blessing within a tragedy. And if only Kiria had been the protagonist. She would have Beatrice just totally defeated. Thank you. I heard something from Rudolph's side as well. He said that you usually just swagger about, but when things get serious, you overflow with a sense of responsibility and can be a very dependable older brother. That's too kind. Damn it. At any rate, these iron bars won't even budge. How are things at your end, Cannon? No, this side is no better. Russ and Cannon tried wiggling the bars in various ways. There were a few bars that could be twisted, and a few had enough space to rattle a little bit around in, but they couldn't be broken with human strength alone. However, there was still hope if they could use some kind of a lever-like tool. It was still far too early to give up yet. The children's lives were hanging in the balance. Even if there was no hope, they couldn't stop their struggle. And it was better for them to act this way. If they were to stop, there's no doubt they'd once again be overcome by the grief of losing their loved ones and curl up, clutching their knees. How are you doing, Kiria-san? Find anything? I found some small stones that we could hold on to and hide. Something like this could probably be used as a weapon. Though it'd probably be impossible to whittle down those iron bars with them. How about you, Shan-chan? No, nothing. This is a phone. I doubt it's connected. But we might be able to use the cord as some form of string-based weapon. Just say that you want to strangle someone, Kiria. If we break it, we could take out the metal parts. Trust me-san, there's a keyhole for opening the bars, right? Yes. It's a pretty large hole, quite old-fashioned. If we twist some wire into it, we might just be able to pick it. We might be able to use the metal parts of the phone as a substitute for something. This phone will become our weapon. It's just like investing. Our weapon is information. Shut up. Russ and Kiria laughed together at how they hadn't even thought of using the phone as a means of communication. What are you doing, Nei-san? I just wondered if maybe the phone was working. You tell me, Nei-san. Whisper. Huh? What? At that point, she let out a small, surprised cry. Kiria-sama, this phone, it's connected. What did you say? It was like when people move out of an office, taking everything with them, leaving only the telephone behind. That's the feeling the phone gave off, having been left in the corner of the cell. This is a jam. The cord was wound into a coil, the tip of it being swallowed by the wall, and just looking at it, there was no reason to assume that it wasn't hooked up. You know, this reminds me of Mega Man X Command Mission. Not so much like the part that just came in now, like the kind of stringy sounding part, but like the background thing really reminds me of Command Mission. Maybe some other games too. Not sure what. It's good though. I like this. But to think that it actually was. Kitty took the receiver from Shannon and pressed it to her ear. Certainly, the electric hum of a phone was a familiar sound. There's a couple more really good songs in episode 4. What good luck. Let's contact the police. Also, episode 4 has one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Umineko. It was really well done in the anime. Probably has a pachinko version. What good luck. Let's contact the police. Hold on, this is too good to be true. Could it be bugged? If they were planning a trick like that, normally they would cut the telephone line. There's actually a good possibility that they overlooked this. If they noticed, they might actually cut the line this time. There's nothing we could tell the police that would be problematic for us if they overheard. Surely that was true. The point of a wiretap is to overhear some important piece of information. But the way things were right now, she couldn't think of a single thing that would come up in conversation to the outside world that might be troublesome to have overheard. Kitty instantly concluded that it was more likely to be a mistake on Kinzo's part than a trap. Does the phone even reach the outside, or is this like an internal line? I'd assume internal. You do have a point. I believe you start with 0 to make calls to the external line. Okay, I guess there's a way to do it. Ganon-kun, I'm going to make a phone call, so will you watch how things are out there for me? If you sense somebody coming, let me know. Yes. Ganon raced off towards the iron bars, silenced his breathing, and strained his ears. As everyone present watched her, Hide dialed 110. However, she pushed the hook down and redialed many times. It didn't seem to be working very well. The outside line begins with 0. 110 would be 0110 then, right? It doesn't seem to want to go through. Hand it over here. I'll try to call. Cross took the receiver in Kitty's place and tested various things. He's the one who lives here after all, so he might know how the phone works better. Oh, I see. It's the wrong Discord. A lot of the time when I reboot my computer, Discord decides to update, and I have to re-add the shortcuts to my little like quick launch menu that I've set up on my Windows 10, and also add the icons back to the taskbar. So sometimes, like, they'll get added back in the wrong order, or one will get added back and the other won't. I have 2 Discords open at all times. 2 different accounts. Don't ask why. It's for good reason. Old identity, new identity. Gotta keep in touch with, like, old friends and stuff. Old servers. But, saw a notification on one and thought it was from the other. It was nothing. But in the end, they were unable to notify the police. The phone itself was definitely live, but the circuit was apparently cut somewhere. Does this mean that they were not so naive? So it's useless after all. It means our enemies aren't naive either. Kide let out a deep sigh, leaned against the wall, and hung her head for a while. As cool thinking as she was, for a brief moment, she may actually have had the naive hope that the phone might actually work. She sneered at herself mockingly for holding on to that naive hope for even a single moment. Then, she remembered just what was happening here. Truth be told, even after being shown a scene like that right before her eyes, or rather, exactly because of that, she still couldn't think of that gruesome mass murder as something real. It was less that she couldn't believe it, and more that she didn't want to. Is it finally time to start discussing the demons? Ushimi Kinzo killed 6 family members. Here we go. He summoned strange, witch-like demon-like people right out of thin air, and with something like magic, began to kill people one after another. It's just all so screwed up. Even though she definitely saw it, there was no way she could accept that spectacle. There was no way that's what happened. Those were obviously father's friends or something. They just hid somewhere in the dining hall beforehand and used some tricks to appear suddenly and fool us. Yeah, he's part of, like, it's everyone from, like, his whole college cosplay club. You know, back in, like, the 20s. There's no other way to explain something screwed up as that. But when those 6 I hate when I have to write had in text. I try to, like, avoid this kind of thing, because it looks weird, even though it's definitely grammatically correct. I hate this kind of thing. But when those 6 had their heads blown apart, a golden arrow had flown around and around the room. That had truly looked like magic. Was that another thing we just saw wrong? There's no way it was magic. It was definitely some kind of setup. Since those heads were smashed, there's no doubt it was some kind of explosive. For example, a styrene... I don't know what styrene is. Toy plane like they sell at candy stores painted gold, and with a powerful explosive loaded onto the end of it. However, though it had seemed to be flying about at random, Kide couldn't imagine that, after being fired 6 times, each time it perfectly hit the victim's score in the head one after the other. It couldn't be that there was a computer control system for finding and hitting targets, making it a high-tech styrene plane on the same level as a guided missile, right? Especially not in 1986, otherwise this could be like a drone. Would he invest such a large amount of money into developing some stupid trick like that? Yes. For that insane sideshow? Does this take us back to the old, I wouldn't put it past father? Oh yeah, it does. A number of mysterious people appeared out of thin air, 6 people had their heads demolished by a mysterious golden flying object, and the 5 of us were locked away in a mysterious dungeon by a mysterious set of pitfalls, or else put to sleep by some fainting poison dart. The family conference started a bit after 10. It's only been a bit more than 30 minutes since then. Most likely, even though I witnessed it myself, that event took place in such a short period of time, so I still can't understand it, and I still can't come to grips with it. For argument's sake, even if we did get a hold of the police, it would probably be impossible for anybody to accurately explain what we saw. Even though I just saw it now, my brain's fried, and I have no confidence what I saw myself. Kide tried her hardest to cheer herself out of her overwhelming confusion, to just hold on to her sanity. That'll do for now. I'll have the rest of that in a while. Damn it, what's going on here? Damn it! Ross started to become desperate, hitting the hook multiple times and resetting the dial. Ross had also been feigning composure, but he wasn't able to hide his panic. His doki panic. The more he retried the dial, the more the pretense of serenity peeled away. I don't know what's going on anymore. Kitty couldn't help but pray that the events that had just occurred were a dream. At that time, the look on Krause's face changed. Oh? I got through! It's ringing! Really, Krause-san? I see. How shallow, old man. Since we can't contact the police, the external line has probably been cut, but he'd be able to sever the internal line. The internal line? Krause-san, what did you call? The guest house. I'm calling the room where Jessica and the rest are staying. Ah, hello? Hello? It's me. You're... Goda? Is Jessica there? Is she safe? Krause-san. I'm so glad you're safe. Yes, Lady Jessica and the other children are here as well, safe and unharmed. And Kumasawa, ask about Kumasawa. Everyone's grandma. Dad, is it Dad? I'm so glad you're okay. Is Mom okay? Is she there? No. Your... Cross choked on his words. Cross had clearly seen Natsu's head crushed, had seen her killed right before his eyes. Eventually, he was going to have to tell that to Jessica. However, Cross began to fret over whether he should tell her now or not, and lost his words. But even that was an answer under these circumstances. I don't know about your mother. Let's pray for her safety. For now, I'm just glad you are safe. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry for asking. Kota and Kumasawa probably told him everything already. Jessica's voice was filled with tears. Russ was certain now. Jessica and the rest had heard everything, start to finish, after meeting up with Kota and Kumasawa at the guest house. When they learned that 6 people had been killed, they must have been anxious to rush over to the dining hall. Luckily, he'd been able to call before they'd stormed off towards the mansion. Russ was relieved at this good timing during such a tragedy. We have Kitty-san and Dr. Najo, as well as Shen and Ken in here. We've been locked in a place that's like a dungeon, but don't worry. We'll figure something out. A dungeon? Where? We'll come and save you. Unfortunately, we can't figure out where this is either. We think it may be under the dining hall, but that might not be true. Anyway, Jessica, you must stay where you are. Oh, you know what? You should ask them what time it is. Because you said, like, maybe they changed your watches while you were knocked out cold, but they could confirm what time it is for you. That could help figure things out. They might very well do that next time. I don't remember, but I was butting in. You've heard about what happened from Kota and Kumasawa, yes? Yeah. Grandfather... Everyone. Grandfather is in a insane state of mind right now. If you encounter him, you'll be in danger. You might be killed. You mustn't even think about trying to come and save us. We'll take care of ourselves. Then what should we do? Damn you, Grandfather. How dare you do that to Mom and the rest? I'm gonna kill that undying bastard. Jessica, if you talk like that, you'll sadden your mother. Those aren't the words of a lady. Anyway, put your own safety first. Lock all the guest house doors and windows. But you mustn't overestimate how safe that'll make you. The large window in the first floor lounge might get broken. Stay in your room and use a bed to make a barricade. There's a toilet and fridge in there too, right? You should be able to stay holed up until tomorrow morning. Listen up, I'll say it again. Don't think of doing anything violent. Don't even think about trying to take revenge from Mom. Only think of hiding, of getting through this without provoking your enemies. Yeah, I understand, Dad. Ugh. After that, Kota took the phone and was firmly told to supervise the kids well as an adult. Kota, with his face covered in a cold sweat, repeatedly replied, yes sir, in an excessively tense voice. Poor guy's just a chef. You can sign up for this. From there, Gideon took the receiver and spoke with Battler, and when Shen and Ken got their turns, George and Jessica answered. Following that pattern, Naju and Kumasawa picked up as well, so that all members of both sides took the receiver in turn, confirming that everyone was safe for now, even if the location was unknown, and encouraging each other, coming to an understanding on the current situation from both sides. They wanted to talk forever, but now was not the time to chat. Cross explained that they would be hanging up for now, and those in the guest house consented. If anything happens, we'll call. Wait by the phone so you can pick it up quickly. Again, be careful. You mustn't do anything rash. Yeah, I understand. As long as you and Ken and Kun and the others are okay, then that's good enough for me. We'll do our best. Stay safe. Yes, of course. Well then, I'm hanging up for now. Be on your guard. You could end with an I love you, you know. With that, the phone call ended. Ah, dysfunctional families. Kota and the rest of the men quickly descended to the first floor, closed the shutters, and secured the sturdy locks on the doors. However, just as Graves was worried, there was nothing that could be done about the beautiful wide window in the first floor lounge. If someone broke that, it would be easy to get inside. It would be hard for someone like Ginzo, who had hesitated at committing murder, to invade the first floor. It's likely that Grandfather and his followers will be armed. Locking ourselves in a room is our best bet, and moreover, our only method for forming a barricade. It's painful that we have no choice but to hold up in a sealed room, but if our enemies are carrying guns, then that's the only method we have left to us. But I've heard that the Master has a collection of working guns. That's right, guns. That was a gun. So, it must have been a horribly powerful gun. We can't contend with that at all. It takes a lot of force to smash someone's head open, right? So it might be a magnum bullet or something like that. I'd probably go through a flimsy door like it was nothing. If so, then that's even more of a reason to hold out in a room. Let's slide a bed in place and lock the window too. If we do that much, then no matter how many guns they've got, they shouldn't be able to raid us. Crap, all we can do is this passive one-sided defense. Damn it, killing a finishing blow to Dad and even capturing Kirie, that's gonna cost you, you damn geezer. Impossible, there's no way we can compete with them. Besides, it's not just the Master, he has his underlings too. There might even be more of them. Just what are they? I was filled to the brim with the urge to get revenge for Rudolph. I wonder what they tried to tell the kids about, like, all the demons. Like I keep saying, I'd like to see that part of the conversation. But it happens off screen, I guess. But just by looking at how terrified Goda was, there was no doubt in him that this would be reckless. It's gotta be hard on you too, right, Aniki? And yet, you're gonna stay holed up here. Damn it. Once again, George has lost both his parents. Okay. Of course, I'm torn up about it too. It's not like I can remain calm with both my parents murdered. But specifically because of that, I have to remain calm. Do you think our dead parents would want us to die in vain? There's no way they would. They'd want for at least their children to escape. It'd be nice if someone would warn Genji. So I will survive. And I'll report this to the police and uncover everything. I'll lead my enemies to the courts. That is my revenge. There's no way our parents would want us to die taking revenge for them. That's cold, but really cool, George. I respect it. Right? You're right. It's just as you say. Damn it, you old bastard. What's this about a ceremony? If we're supposed to be sacrifices for something like that, then we'll escape no matter what it takes, ruining this precious ritual of yours. That's right. Besides, you still have Kiria-san, Battler Kun, and I still have Shannon. Anyway, let's be cautious and wait for a chance. Don't speak too soon. Any careless actions on our part might just end up causing harm to those who have been captured. Hostages, But grandfather captured them so we could use them as sacrifices, right? If we don't go and save them, then are we just waiting for them to get killed? We don't even know where the dungeon they're being held in is. Shannon Ken-kun didn't know about it, and of course Goda-san and Kumasawa-san didn't know either. The possibility that they're in a secret location that only grandfather knows of is incredibly high. Under these circumstances, aimlessly wandering about like that would be practically suicidal. It's my throat. Maybe that's a bit better? Not much. I understand. Still, damn it, are you saying the only thing we can do is stay confined here till something happens? Battler-sama, I understand how you feel, but let's put safety first. From what Kraus-sama said, they seem to be in a fairly old cell, and they may be able to break the bars somehow. The wise choice of action now is to believe in them and wait. Grandfather has a number of subordinates, and they're all armed, correct? Yes, he does. And they're probably all armed. Goda had been able to say that Kinzo had comrades with him, but he hadn't been able to mention that they were mostly young women, like witches, who'd use strange magic to murder. If he'd said that, it would only have cast doubt on his sanity. No, not only that. He himself still couldn't understand what he'd seen, and was doubting his own sanity. But regardless of Setsu's appearance, regardless of whether it was done with magic or a gun, the fact that those girls had followed Kinzo's orders and killed 6 people in an instant was an unshakable truth. If that a group came to attack the guest house as well, what would happen? Just closing the doors and windows like this was surely meaningless. Pretty easy to shoot a gun through a window. Goda and Kumasawa. The only thing left for those two, who had witnessed that massacre in the dining hall, was to cradle their heads without knowing how to interpret what they'd seen. Kumasawa-san, are you okay? Want some tea? Oh ho ho ho. Thank you very much, thank you. I'm sorry, but may I be left with my thoughts for a little while? Maria tried to be nice, but it seemed that Kumasawa still hadn't been able to clear away her confusion. Maria, thanks for being so considerate. Let's let Kumasawa-san rest for now. Ooh. Jessica was also worried about the shock those two must have perceived after witnessing such a tragedy, but her wildest dreams could even come close to the unbelievable scene Kumasawa had witnessed. Throat. Nevertheless, with her mother murdered and her father captured, it wasn't as though Jessica could stay calm either. She steeled her anxiety and sadness using her anger towards Kinzo, and walked irritatedly around the room. That's probably a posture thing, too. I don't want you on my lap. I'll try. No. Get back. Come on. I love you, but no. Personal space, honey. No. Personal space. No. 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 Kumasawa-san, is Mom really dead? Yes. I've never seen such a horrible way to die before. Is it possible that she's still alive, and that if we fix her up, we could save her? It's not possible for a person to have something like that done to their head and live. Yeah, you're right. There's no need for first aid. Once her head's smashed, usually, I would say, not usually, I'd say always. When Goda had come flying into the guest house, he had, overcome with agitation, told about the massacre in the dining hall without concealing anything. Except for the part about witches and magic, which they themselves still couldn't believe. In other words, he hadn't even sugarcoated the cold-blooded way in which Natsuki and the others had died. It was too late now, but Kumasawa regretted the fact that they'd obviously said too much. However, while lightly shaking her head in with a slightly painful laugh, Jessica spoke. Actually, thanks to what you told us, I was able to stay level-headed. If you'd avoided mentioning the part about her head being smashed, I would have thought she might still be alive. Then I would have run off towards the mansion, met grandfather, and I might have gotten killed. That sliver of hope could have been fatal in the end. Yeah, sorry, the stuff. That's very true. So, I'm grateful. I'm truly sorry. I'm so sorry we didn't choose our words more carefully. Don't worry about that now. There's nothing we can do for Mom, but Dad's still alive. Ken-kun and Shannon and Aunt Kirie and Dr. Nanzo too. I want to save them somehow, so we shouldn't do anything unnecessary that might make things worse for them. The most helpful thing we can do right now might be to wait by the phone. They might receive a phone call asking them to create a diversion while the others escaped. Or the others might discover the location and call for rescue. In just 1 minute. Okay, maybe my throat's a bit better for reading now. Not sure. Beauty. Or the others might discover the location and call for rescue. Oh, there we go. That's much more clear. Jessica understood that in order to act promptly when that time came, the only thing they could do for the time being was to wait in this room. Now I got the announcer voice. Once they'd finished inspecting the downstairs area and locking up, George, Battler, and Koda returned. Each was holding various objects. George had things like drinks, canned food, crackers, and other types of snacks he'd found in the lounge and a storage room, as well as a first aid kit. If anything, I have to wet my lips. They're too dry. Hold on. They were all consumables that would be essential during a siege. He also wrote potions and scrolls. Goda had a large folding ladder and carpentry tools. They were to seal the door from the inside, just in case. If it came to it, the ladder was for escaping out the window. I want to seal the window. Battler had brought up objects that could be used as edged weapons or poles. In addition to the obvious kitchen knife, there was a disassembled... Isn't that supposed to be a... Isn't that wrong? Disassembled? Shouldn't be disassembled? Is that right? Disassembled. Yeah, it's wrong. I see, apparently dissemble is to like hide your true self. Just like hide something. But you can't do it past tense like that. Apparently. Or maybe you can, I don't know. By the way, it's wrong here. It's wrong. It should be disassemble. A pole roughly the size of a person, which he'd apparently made by taking apart a hat stand. Even though the pole had no point, it would surely be used like a spear. You can't do anything with the hat stands in Cataclysm except just smash them. I guess you can get whooped by doing that. There was a good chance that their enemies had guns, so it was dubious whether these would be of any use. But it was still better than not having them. Clearly I'm dying. And if having these could give them at least a little peace of mind that they'd be useful for their coming effect. Then the bed and sofa were placed up against the door, barricading it. They didn't go as far as to seal it up with nails. There was still a chance that Kress and the others would escape and come to meet up with him. They'd apparently set up a barricade at the top of the stairs as well. It had been set up in a way that would create a racket, so it would serve as a warning alarm as well. That had apparently been Battler's idea. For that reason, they turned the TV off. This way, if the first floor window were to be broken, they would hear. Once the switch had been turned, all that was left was an eerie silence. Well, you can smash it in CD, but I don't think you can disassemble hat stands. I think you have to just smash them. don't think you can make them either. The sound of violent wind and rain. Were they going to have to spend the whole night being crushed by such suspense? But we come tomorrow morning. However, judging by the weather report, Weza report, most of tomorrow was going to be covered in the typhoon, and the boat probably wouldn't come. The typhoon was set to pass by in the morning of the day after tomorrow. In other words, the boat would be arriving the morning after next, the morning of October 6th. And right now, it was late at night on October 4th. They would have to spend more than 30 hours in this island. What's the OST? I do not know. I do not know, unfortunately. You'll have to look up, like, specifically the episode 4 OST. Actually, no, I feel like this might be from a previous one. I only know a few of the songs. Unfortunately. They would have to spend more than 30 hours on this island, with Kinzo turned cold-blooded murder and his weird companions prowling about. There's one song that's gonna come up later that I will mention the name of when it comes up. I'm just gonna check the name now so I can remember. Just looking at a list. Oh. Victima Propitiatoria. That's probably Latin or something. That one's gonna come up later. It's really, really good. Even with the shutters closed, there would definitely be a little bit of light seeping out. It might let the enemy know that they were hiding here. Battler suggested that it might be best to turn off the lights, but they had already been overwhelmed by a ghastly feeling just from turning the TV off. There wasn't anyone who directly challenged his proposal, but then again, there wasn't a single other person who agreed with it. Yep, really good scene. Like I said, one of my favorite fight scenes. Ooh, we can't watch TV? Yeah, sorry, but you'll have to bear with it. We can't just let the sound of the enemy breaking in slip by. Boring. Previously, I thought it was in episode 3, but when we got always through episode 3 and certain characters died, I was like, oh, it must be in 4. I'm remembering wrong. Even though she had been told of her mother's death, Moria alone didn't feel an approaching sense of danger. She just seemed to be upset that the TV had been turned off. Even though she is in such a bizarre situation, can she not share a sense of danger? Is it because she's so young? To Battler, even this faintly unsettling feeling from such a young girl made him sense that there was something very eerie about Moria. That said, we've already done all we can. Do you think you'll be able to do anything about the bars? Unfortunately, they're tougher than expected. I don't know when these were made, but there's no problem with their lifetime guarantee. These truly were built rather well. Kitty had chuckled softly. They had no moves they could make, but she had calmed just a little. This place is just like the capture pile of a chess game. So, are there no remaining moves left to us? Not yet. It's still too early to give up. If we stop thinking, we might as well stop breathing, right? Exactly. Chess pieces in the capture pile may serve no purpose, but in shogi they can be quite significant. I do not know how to play shogi. Just one captured pawn should be able to put pressure on the opponent. I see. But still, there's nothing that can be done about these bars. For us, maybe. But if we can figure out where this is and contact Goto-san, he might be able to come and save us. I see. But that would mean putting Goto-san in danger. And if that happens, I would also be worried about the children in the guest house, alone without a full-grown adult male. When you're afraid of risk, it's alright to bide your time until the price starts to go up. However, if you're too afraid to cut your losses, you might end up with just a scrap of paper. Though in this case, that represents our lives. And our dignity as parents, right? After talking big like that during the telephone call, telling them that they should behave because we'll manage something on our own, we can't just start asking for help right away. That would be very uncool. By this point, I've long since thrown out such useless pride. Why don't we put our heads together? Where is this? Is it really underneath the dining hall? Or else is it a different place, separate from the mansion? Cross, Kitty, and Nanjo began to discuss this further, leaving out Shannon and Canada entirely, apparently. I get some other water. This water kind of tastes bad. Okay, I have better water now. Better butter beetle battle. Ken was squatting by the bars, silently trying to sense anyone's presence. Just as he'd been ordered. Shannon came close to him, and they both squatted down together. Do you sense anyone? Yes. They haven't focused their attention in this direction, but there's somebody relatively close by. Is it human? I think it's the goats. Their breathing is rather noisy. Ken's ability to sense the presence of others was several levels above that of a human. He said that the breathing was noisy, but Kraus and the rest couldn't even pick up the slightest hint of it. Therefore, if he had obediently reported it, they would have merely doubted Ken's ears. They got us, didn't they? It's rare to think that they captured us without killing us. This time, Beatrice Summit didn't make an appearance, and the master left to study. I don't have a clue what's going on. I know. Whatever happens or changes, it's all for that witch's fickle entertainment. In the end, nothing will change. So weirdly enough, this time, they're talking like they remember what's happened before. I wonder if we'll be able to go to the Golden Land this time. Who knows? We have a high rate of losing. Come to think of it, it's very rare for us to survive the first twilight together. I get the feeling that it's incredibly unusual for us to be able to talk together like this, even though the ceremony's already begun. Oh, I thought I muted the mic. I apologize for that. Sometimes I tap it and I don't get precisely the right place. I don't have a cold or anything. It's just allergies. They suck. Allergies to what? I'm not even sure. The only allergy that should be bothering me is like grass. Kentucky bullgrass, which is coming around here, but that's like an all-year thing, and it's getting colder now, so it shouldn't really be as much of a deal. Big deal. There was frost yesterday, even. Not as bad this morning, though. That may be, but even that's just for the witch's entertainment, I'll bet. I can't think of it as anything other than her letting us live just a little longer to ridicule us, since we usually drop out right in the beginning. I wonder if we'll be unable to reach the Golden Land again. I'm sure we won't make it there. If we hold on to any foolish hope, we'll get taken advantage of again. That's right. Last time, you got taken advantage of, didn't you? I'm an idiot. Ken made a sour look and turned his head. Shin laughed softly and apologetically leaned toward his shoulder. But I'm glad my lady is safe. She's only escaped from the first twilight. She might just be waiting for an even crueler death later on. What about you, Nason? Aren't you glad George-sama is safe? It'd be nice if you two could reach the Golden Land together. Thank you. I wish the same for you and my lady as well. I wasn't hoping for anything like that. It's just as you say. That witch is only having fun, dangling prizes in front of people, and watching them vainly try to get them. I'm sure no one will be able to go to the Golden Land. If I wish to reach the Golden Land with my lady, then that person will find it funny, and will certainly never let us reach that place. So true. You're right. Beatrice-sama is thinking about which order of sacrifices will be the most interesting. The whole thing about them being chosen at random is just a blatant lie. That swindling witch. All that about having any wish you want granted in the Golden Land is probably just a lie too. That's not true. The Golden Land is a wonderful place. Have you been there? Only for a little bit. Though even that was probably just a joke of Beatrice-sama's. I guess she means in the very first episode, when they were all like in the little dining room, and then her face melted back off. What's it like there? Well, it's a wonderful place. I can't really explain it well. It's like a world from a pleasant dream. A paradise-like place with roses blooming all over and beautiful butterflies dancing about, or something like that. It's not a place with a tangible image like that. It's really like the inside of a dream. When you're there, it's very gentle, very peaceful, and you're allowed to sleep as long as you want, like when you wake up early on a day off, lying on a futon. Sunlight comes in through the cracks in the curtains, and you think you'll have to wake up soon, but then you realize it's your day off, and you can go back to sleep. It's a place where you can feel like that. I think it'd be wasted on me. Waking up on accident, even though it's your day off, is something only you would do, Nason. So, well, when I was there, it was very satisfying and very calm. When I returned to this world, even though I'd just been there a second ago, I couldn't remember it well. It's like when you can't remember a dream you were just having. But I still remember that it was a very calm and quiet world. That's it? What the heck, that Golden Land she's always bragging about isn't anything great at all. I thought it was a place where all your wishes come true. That's right, it's a place where all your wishes will be granted. Well, maybe that's not quite it. It might be better to say it's a place where you won't wish for anything. For example, Ken-kun, if you were cold and wished you had a jacket, you'd be happy to be given one. But if you were in a warm room to begin with, there wouldn't even be a reason to want a jacket, right? That's what the Golden Land is like. There's no need to even wish for most wishes. It's a world where everything is calm. You could even say it's a place that transcends the concept that having your wishes granted will bring happiness. A world released from everything. It sounds somewhat like a religious world. And there, everything is equal. Anything that can think is equal. There are no humans, furniture, nor witches. There, I was equal to everyone. There was no longer any need to feel ashamed that I was furniture. It was honestly a happy world where all humans and even witches were equal. I can't really remember it well. I have the feeling that when I was there, I was equal even to Beatrice-sama, and we were good friends. If that witch is there, it can't be much of a paradise. So, you want to go to that Golden Land with George-sama? How strange. The Golden Land is a utopia where you can be pleased with everything, right? Wouldn't you be content even if George-sama wasn't there? The Golden Land is very calm, peaceful, and everything is equal. But actually, happiness alone is left out. It isn't a happy world? Of course, just by being peaceful, calm, and equal, it's an incredibly happy world. But I guess you could say that it's a world of zero. We are released from all negative worries. The human world is filled with negatives, so of course a zero world is incredibly happy, but it's still zero. What a luxurious problem to have. It's something like this. When you're nodding off on your quiet holiday morning, if the person you love the most is next to you and holding your hand, then it can become an even greater, more wonderful happiness. Something like that. Sorry, it sounds too dumb to be any good at analogies. In other words, to you, the greatest happiness would be reaching that world together with George-sama. Yes, and surely, for you, it would be reaching that world together with my lady. I'll be released from our worries in a fair world. It's like some kind of strange religion. I'm more worldly minded. I imagined a world where we would be given some magic medicine, and we could be reborn as humans, or something more like that. If you go, you'll understand. If Beatrice-sama really is a fickle person, then surely someday she'll let you get a glimpse of it too. If so, then you'll be able to understand my analogy. Well, I'm not holding my breath. At any rate, it seems like game over for us this time already. I'll hope for another chance. You're right. If we cling to any overambitious hopes, Beatrice-sama will take advantage of us. It might be best to just stop thinking, and let fate take care of us. We can just be simple chess pieces. No matter what we think or don't think, we can't escape from the witch's chessboard. Our role is now just to wait and see how we'll be tortured to death. For us, the dream of the Golden Land is too empty. You're right. Sorry. Ken shrugged his shoulders, then told Shannon to leave him alone because she was in the way of his duty, distancing himself from her. Realizing her thoughtlessness and bringing up such an inappropriate topic and instead hurting Cannon, Shannon bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. Shannon wouldn't bother him anymore. She went off and crouched down in a corner by herself. At that moment, Ken perked up. It was like the ears of a cat when it reacts to a strange sound. What's wrong? Shh. Krauso, someone's coming. What? They ended the conversation and strained their ears. For a while, they couldn't hear anything, but eventually they were able to hear the shuffling sounds of a large group of people walking. So they'd come. Time to pay the piper, or perhaps this is our first and last chance. I shall talk to Kinzo-san. I will try to somehow find out where this place is. We're counting on you. During the last phone call, Kitty had asked what the time over at the guest house was. Good. Good job, Kitty. You're great. I love you. You're the smartest one. By doing that, Kitty had learned that it was the same time as her watch, and that she'd learned that their watches hadn't been set back. It wasn't just the clocks on the walls in the guest house. Several people's watches, including George's and Goda's, had matched. If that was the case, then it had only been a few minutes between the time of the massacre in the dining hall and the time they'd been transported to the dungeon. Not enough time had passed for them to be knocked out and carried away. Then were those really pitfalls, meaning that this was the area directly under the dining hall? All that they could do was pray that Nanjo could find out where this was. They're coming. There's probably 4 people. The master, and 3 of those who appeared in the dining hall. That's enough. You come back here as well. We'll deal with the rest. Shan-chan, sorry, but can I have you sit by the phone? Hide it with your skirt. Yes. Just want to save since it's been a little while. Okay, evening. Izu, Chevy. Thanks for the raid, Chevy. Oh wait, it's not evening, it's 7:28 a.m. Morning. Good morning. I forget sometimes. The shuffling came close, and there was the sound of a large door being opened in the hallway. The light they were apparently carrying illuminated the hall, striking the walls with sharp, razor-like shadows. Hello, Divine Fox. Welcome. And then, the light from the lantern they held illuminated the prisoners through the bars. The bar's sharp shadows divided them up lengthwise. There were 4 silhouettes. It was Kinzo, Renove, Vergilia, and Gap. Silence, everyone. Please welcome the head of the Yoshida family, Lord Goldsmith. Honestly, yeah. My last few streams have been a bit earlier. Usually there's not daylight outside like this. Usually we can't experience the sunrise together. I should probably close this now. Yeah, it's fine for me, but it's very blinding on stream, isn't it? So, it's just a big bright light. Let's get rid of that. No light, only darkness. Goldsmith? It's father's pen name. It seems he always signs with it when writing those bizarre grimoires. That reminds me of very cringe stuff in my past. During like 1st grade or 2nd grade, somewhere around there, I forget. I would sign my homework in school with whatever Dragon Ball character I liked the most at the time. So I'd like, instead of putting my actual name, Sam, I'd put like Gohan or Goten or Trunks or whoever. Kids do the darndest things, don't they? Kinzo made English style? Shouldn't that be Gold Warehouse? Shut up. Japanese kanji joke. Haha, it's the warehouse kanjis, oh. What more is a warehouse than a place to keep things in? However, I get burnt the gold and use my craftsmanship to further increase its worth. Don't you think Smith is much more fitting? Definitely cooler. True enough. I apologize for butting in. Kinzo-san, just what's going on? Where in the world is this? Oh, my friend, can't you remember? True, you may have never entered the prison, but you should remember walking through this corridor. Huh? Huh? You don't mean... Do you have an idea? But, well, it's unthinkable. Firstly, we fell through a pitfall and were locked up in here after only a few minutes. Not only is the distance too great, that's physically impossible. For a human, right? Father, is this the mansion? To think that the mansion had a basement like this. Kraus. There's not supposed to be 2 U's in Kraus, is there? Kraus? I was surprised I even caught that. Kraus. Kraus, wasn't there a place whose existence you all whispered of, and which you followed after me several times trying to find? This is that place. No, to be correct, this is its basement. Cackle cackle. Could this place be the basement of Kuadorian? A splendid observation. I like this little attention that he's actually behind the bars here. That's a very nice touch. Even if it does look a little bit goofy. A splendid observation. This is indeed the basement of Kuadorian. Kuadorian? You don't mean father's rumored hidden mansion? It really exists? This mansion was constructed with the sole use of my beloved witch, Beatrice. It's truly a shame that I cannot guide you to the above ground sections, as it is such a beautiful and elegant mansion. How lovely, just the 2 of them alone in a mansion with a prison like this. I guess father's tastes are a bit more than I can stomach. Kiria-san, perhaps it would be wise to refrain from such rude comments. But I agree. If a mansion I was given had this kind of dungeon in it, that'd shake me out of even a century-long love, and I'd take anything of value and run. Kukuku. Oh my, so you don't have an interest in this kind of thing? And here I was thinking you went head over heels for it. Of course I go head over heels, like if I get a collar or something for a birthday present. But only if he's hot. Kukukuku. Silence. Perhaps you could use a gag more than a collar right now. Vergilia, we don't need to get that freaky. Oh, you have an interest in that too? You sure aren't picky, Leah. Don't just go around shorting people's names on your own. Enough, you noisy women, and Runaway. Are you telling me you'd like to be locked up in the same cell? I apologize, Master. This old body of mine would not be able to stand such a cold prison. Vergilia quickly apologized, but Gap and Runaway merely laughed together. It was like they thought they alone couldn't be imprisoned, or else that even if someone tried to imprison them, it would be pointless. In Gap's case, kind of. A prison is a place from which the captured cannot escape. That implies a strong will and love to not let them go for a lifetime. It's not even worth speaking of love to a woman you could give up on if she ran away. A woman who makes you so insane that you don't want to let her escape to the point of binding her in chains. But she was never worthy of that, she was allowed sacrificing my life for. I will not ask you to understand. No one can bind me. I will not be bound. I don't want to be loved. I want to love. I feel the same as Goldsmith. That's why I understand the madness of your love. Love and madness are two sides of the same coin, or so they say. No bothersome. But learning where we are so easily was a big step. We'll ask the details later, but it seems you know about this place. Right, Dr. Nanjo? Yes. If that hallway is the underground passage beneath Quidorian, and if we go straight down it, it'll become a long tunnel, and if we stay on that, we should be able to return to the mansion. Then if we could just do something about those bars, we could go home. Father, what are you planning to do with us? As I have already declared, you will become sacrifices for the later twilights. There are conveniently 5 people here. Exactly enough hostages for the 5 gougings. I see. Then it's time for us to pay the piper? Eventually. That's not why I've come to visit you this time, so relax. Besides, I believe I've said it already. If one of my grandchildren is deemed suitable to inherit everything from me, then the ceremony will be called off. In other words, your lives will be spared. But what are you planning to do to the children? I shall give them a test. A test to see if they are suitable to be the successor or not. If even one of them can surprise me, I'll call the ceremony off. And if there isn't anyone suitable, what are you planning on doing with the children? There's no need to worry about that. After all, you all will be sacrificed first. How could anything that happens after that concern you? Entrust your fates to your own children. Your children, the embodiment of what you're born, taught, and raised. They should be the most suitable ones for you to entrust with your fate. Don't look so worried, Kraus. Believe in the daughter that you brag is worth 10 billion yen. Exactly. Children are the embodiment of their parents. It's fitting that we put our fates in their hands. That applies even to you, father, right? This girl has guts. What a waste of Rudolph. Honestly, yeah. Kiryu-san, it would be best not to aggravate him too much. I agree. Let's bear with it for now. That's right. After all, we're just fish on the chopping board. There's nothing we can do now. Huh, though you can insult me with such vigor. I don't dislike that kind of woman, see? Beatrice was like that too in the beginning. Yeah, he's probably gonna redeem Freddy Fazbear or something. Master, perhaps we should get back to the main topic. We've been off track for a while now. Ah yes, there was that. Sorry, my friend. Well then, back to the main event. For that, I prepared a phone. Shannon, how clever of you. Oh, I've never played Yakuza. Not yet. Maybe someday. I consider it, but it's also a big time sink from what I hear. But not until I really, need games to play. And right now, I still have games to play, essentially. So I'm good for the time being. Also, yesterday, I recommended Caves of Cud to a dev I know that is still working on finishing his game. He's probably going to play after the game is done, but if he plays it before the game is done and gets addicted and things get really slower, it's my fault. I'm not going to say which game, people can guess. Also, hi Zelda Pan. And Cole. Shannon, how clever of you. You don't have to hide it any longer. That's something I arranged for. You think he's the kind of dev that likes roguelikes? I mean, I guess Ticker Survival is a roguelike. Kind of. But Caves of Cud is hardly like Bellatra, which he's 100%ed. That absolute madman. But my apologies. Shannon quickly withdrew herself and the telephone was revealed. Kraus, call the grandchildren in the guest house. Tell them of the test and the start of my trial. Motivate a motion for Kraus to pick up the receiver. And if I say no, why do you think you're in a position to negotiate? If you don't make the call, then the grandchildren won't even be given a chance. You and my family will end here, and I'll sacrifice you all right away. You'd be lucky to become sacrifices right away. Don't you think it'd be more painful to watch the children get sacrificed first, before your very eyes? Yeah. The master is the one who decides the sacrifice order. Don't say things in your own. Leah, you just tried to shorten my name, didn't you? Kinda hard to do. Big G. I did not. And I told you not to shorten other people's names in your own. Yep. Women truly are noisy. Fukuku. Whenever they say that, it's kind of a pun, because, old Japan was not the most fair towards women, just like America wasn't. So it just so happens that the kanji for noisy, used in, yakumashi, is just composed of the woman kanji 3 times. Not so fun fact there. Apparently, according to ancient Japan, 3 trees make a forest, and 3 women make a lot of noise. Not my words. Not my words. The clinic that Nanjo had opened, and later passed on to his son, still existed in Nijima, so we're back in Angie times now. Unfortunately. This aged doctor was Nanjo's son, but the atmosphere about him was very different. Oh, he has a portrait? I forgot about that. Huh. I do not remember Nanjo's son getting a portrait. Probably doesn't have a new one. Nah, it's just like the professor. They just didn't bother. They're like, good enough. We think this one's perfect. I'm truly sorry to say this after you've come all this way, but I have nothing in particular to tell you. Wait, actually, it makes sense. I bet in the PS3 version he has art, but since these other portraits are from the Pachinko version, obviously this guy's not going to be in there. No, they didn't update it. It's still a thing. So here's the woman kanji. For some reason my IME like pops up in the upper corner. Oh, is it not a... Apparently Yakumashi isn't it? Hold on. I forget what is then, My Japanese is spelled. Wait, I swear it's spelled noisy. Oh, it does, along with just other things, unfortunately. But it's these kanji. That's woman as well as noisy and other things that aren't so good. Kashimashi, right. That word doesn't show up very often. Kashimashi. Maybe the word itself has fallen out of use. Nowadays, that kanji shows up with the reading kan in a lot of not so nice words. I won't get into educating people on. I'm truly sorry to say this after you've come all this way, but I have nothing in particular to tell you. Nanjo's son said that very indifferently. After the accident on the island was taken up by the broadcasts in a most indiscreet manner, even my father, who is Mr. Oshumi's doctor and friend, was focused upon by many with a wholly regrettable interest. All of it was without proof, and they even managed to defile all of my father's previous achievements. I still feel a great deal of resentment because of that. I think that's understandable. The same thing happened to me. I had to put up with it constantly since I was 6. True. My apologies. The doctor finally remembered that Andy was also a victim who had been exposed to the same curious eyes as he had been. In that case, you can probably understand why I don't want to have anything to do with that incident. That was an unfortunate accident. Accident, huh? Accident. Clearly something's been misreported. You know, accidents where people get, you know, shot with shotguns or have stakes driven through their foreheads. You know, at least 13 dead. I guess the other 5 dead and or missing 2 somehow. Oh, how could that have all happened? What a tragic accident. Yeah, just a misinput. It's what they get for mashing, you know? I'm more than fed up with their attitude. Nanjo had been bathed with attention for being one of Ushimi Kinzo's few friends. Because of that, there was probably an aggressive and persistent rush among the witch hunters, and the press to use Nanjo's son as well, her surviving relative, as a source of information. The doctor went on and on, criticizing the press indignantly. I'm going to do something rare here. I'm going to give you a hint. The fact that everyone describes it as an accident is very, very significant in the story. It's going to be a while before it's outright said what that means. It doesn't happen until the second half of Umineko, but it's very, very significant. Just remember that. There's a reason it's said to be an accident. But they do a good job in dancing around what they mean by that. It's impressive what he managed to just hide there. Well, I say impressive, it's just sneaky, you know, he has full control over the story, he can do whatever the hell he wants. There's been a hair on my webcam this whole time, it's really been bothering me. Just let me get in there, get that off of you, a little ASMR video. Cleaning the bugs out of your hair as ASMR. I really understand how you feel. For a person like me, who was observed even in her personal life, and whose privacy, likeness, and even human rights might have been violated, it's really easy to pick up on the anger of someone in your position. And for that very reason, I want to know, more than anything else, what in the world happened in the incident, no, accident, Angie, accident, that so thoroughly ruined my life. So I came here. I'm a related party just like you. Not a magazine columnist or an interviewer. Please, don't get the wrong idea. I didn't come to do this for fun. Quit looking down on me. If we're gonna argue over whose life was most screwed up by that accident, you're a match for me. Angie spoke sharply. The doctor, who hadn't imagined that he would be talked back to in such a forceful manner, couldn't help but fall silent. From Angie's perspective, the doctor really was whining over nothing. She really didn't want to be looked down upon. It was about time to let him understand how many days had passed for her before arriving on this island. The doctor realized that he'd said something wrong and remained silent for a while, looking uncomfortable. I know it's probably painful to remember what happened at the time, but if there's anything you two know, please tell me no matter what it is. Of course, I'll keep quiet about it. I visited here today to bring some resolution to my life. I'm 18. That incident took away 12 years of my life, and it'll probably keep on taking. Since that day when I was 6 years old, I've remained shut away in darkness. You're saying that despite that, I still don't have a right to know? No. How rude of me. It seems that since all the others who came were ill-natured folk, I instinctively put up my guard. I apologize for my rudeness. I understand. If you'll swear not to breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll tell you everything. Thanks, Doctor. Then if you would, please tell me anything you can. As you know, my father was not only Mr. Ushimina's head physician, but his friend through this game of chess. Through the game of chess. In case you're curious, like, wait, why is this translation suddenly using Mr. instead of son? It's probably because it uses the she kanji, which is more equivalent to Mr. and is often used for foreigners. I don't really know why he's using it here. I guess maybe because he's never met the guy, but it probably uses she. Yeah, she. So it's not a mistake or anything like that. This is much more closely equivalent to Mr. than san is. You can use san for a friend, but you wouldn't say, oh, this is Tanaka-san, my classmate in high school. You wouldn't say Mr. in that case. You would just use san. It's not quite the same. But she is much closer. Whereas Amakusa, I don't know, probably wait outside the lobby. He doesn't gotta be in here. Their relationship was very long, stretching back to the time Mr. Ushimura moved to Rakenjima. Just how close were they? Very close, it seems. Ugh. It seems that the connection through chess led my father to stay at Mr. Ushimura's mansion quite often. Although I may not be one to talk, Mr. Ushimura was extremely moody. And my father was an exceedingly magnanimous man who would seldom interact with humans like him. I don't think I've ever had to pronounce magnanimous before out loud. It's not rare to imagine that he was a rare friend of the isolated Mr. Ushimura, which is why they had frequent pajama parties. They played Scrabble together. That day was the day of the family conference. At the Ushimura family conference, the family's wealth and its management were rigorously scrutinized, making it almost like a financial conference. Which means Dr. Nanjo must have gained a trust so great that he was asked to attend even that, right? My father was a simple doctor, so I cannot imagine that he was in a position to advise on the management of financial resources for a massively rich family like the Ushimura family. He was most likely called there to assist with Mr. Ushimiya's health, because it was not at its best at the time. His Kinzo's close friend, I'm sure my father would have kept his mouth shut, and he was trusted not to leak the secrets at the family conference. Wasn't Ushimiya Kinzo in very bad health at the time? Were there any medical charts left behind? Perhaps he brought the medical charts with him on the day of the accident. I'm afraid to say that the entire folder of Mr. Ushimura's medical charts has been lost. He was my father's patient, so I do not know the details. Around the time of the incident, did anything strange happen? Speaking of, sort of like mispronouncing stuff. I keep forgetting to talk about this. Every time I forget to talk about this. Since I last streamed, I got a pair of upper dentures, but they are hella uncomfortable, and I've decided just not to wear them. So they're sitting in the bathroom on the counter for like a couple months now. The thing is, like, as a kid, I had, I don't remember what the word is, but I had like some teeth like on kind of like a wire I could put in, which was also very uncomfortable. And these are arguably worse because there's essentially like fake upper mouth that also goes in there. So you can't push your tongue against the real top of your mouth anymore. So eating is incredibly unsatisfying and incredibly strange, and your mouth feels cramped. And obviously it's a bit difficult to speak with them. Not as difficult as I thought it would be. I could learn to speak with them with some practice and time. And apparently, people say that after you've worn them for like a month, you get used to the whole like upper mouth thing, but thankfully insurance covered it, so it's not a big deal that I kind of don't use them. But yeah, that was kind of a wasted like investment of time. I really didn't need them to begin with, but the dentist kind of recommended them. They're like, we could do these for you, and I'm like, sure, you know, insurance covers it, why not, let's try it. It'd be cool if it worked out. If I had more teeth in there that didn't make the rest of my mouth uncomfortable and all that, it'd be cool. But it's not like worth the super expensive money to like have fake teeth drilled into my jawbone. So I'm probably just gonna be like this my whole life, but that's okay. Well, saying that, I did hear, now I just heard this on like Reddit, mind you, that they were apparently having some kind of success with like some kind of drug or something like that that can actually regrow your teeth. If they get that working, oh, I'm on board, please. Yes. It'd probably be painful as an adult actually to regrow your teeth, but I'm interested. I'll say that I'm interested. For sure. Yes, there was one thing. However, it seems exceedingly likely to invite misunderstandings, so I very much do not wish to discuss it. You know, if I were just playing Caves of Cut, I could just, you know, plug in some Uber Nostrum into my arm. Oh, that implants had. Yeah, I wanted to have implants as a kid. But I guess when you're young, I think like under 18, under 14, I can't remember, it's been too long. They say like, oh, well, your jawbone's still developing, like we can't do it, you know? So, it didn't end up happening. You know, now that I'm an adult, financially responsible for myself, I'm like, I don't think I really want to put in the thousands of dollars for that. Mind you, I couldn't. Right now, I don't mind talking about this, I have about $4,100 to my name. Maybe about $4,600 once a payment comes in from some work I did recently. That is what I own. Oh, and I don't remember if I talked about it. I did look into like the whole printing games thing a bit more. I forget if I talked about this on a previous stream or not. So I'm not going to buy a printer because it's really expensive. Sorry, I should specify for people who aren't here, like a CD label printer. I'm not going to get one of those that like presses, you know, like inks the CDs directly. If I end up doing the thing where I sell games and essentially become like a publisher where the games have translated, I will be using an online service after all, which isn't really how I wanted to do things, but the printer is a bad idea. I do printing games in batches, not every day, so ink would dry up. Buying the printer itself is gonna be like $1,000 if you want a good one. That can like do multiple CDs at a time and has good quality and whatnot, and it just ain't worth the hassle. But I have like a couple online services in mind that I'm looking at. I forget the name of the one I was gonna probably use. It's like this automated service. They don't really have much like staff or support or anything, I guess. But the plan is, you know, sometime in the near future, I'll order like a test copy, make sure everything looks good. I won't have the actual design for the case and everything at the time, but it's like I think $2, $2.50 to get like a DVD case with like, you know, back, front, side label, an insert, and the actual like DVD inside with, you know, stuff printed on that too. So that's pretty good. So that still leaves, you know, the money there. It doesn't like, yeah, it's like $10 per disc or something ridiculous, obviously. It's not bad, it's not bad. So I will continue looking into that. Maybe do an experiment. So back to game. What is it? Please tell me. For a while, the doctor beat around the bush, but after saying that much, he wouldn't be able to fool Angie by dodging the subject. What is this? Oh, I see. He eventually gave in, and after making Angie swear herself to secrecy again, told her. The truth is, several days after the accident, I received something by mail at my home. By mail? Ooh. I was very curious. The sender was made out to be me, but I had no memory of it. Someone had faked my name and sent it. The destination was Ribun Island in Hokkaido. Excluding the northern territories, it is at the northernmost tip of Japan. The recipient was apparently a resident on Ribun Island, but the name was my father's. However, it seemed there was a problem with the destination address, so it was stamped as address unknown, and returned to the sender, me. It was truly a strange tale. Nanjo's son's name was written as the sender. However, he said that he hadn't mailed the letter. In short, that meant that someone had faked his name and sent it. The destination was Nanjo Teramasa, on Hokkaido's Ribun Island. But the lot number written on it didn't exist. So the local post office had been unable to deliver it, and instead sent it back to the sender, Nando's son. We know how mail works. Thank you. Move on. What was inside? I do ask that you keep silence about this. It is extremely troublesome to me as well. And even so, I cannot throw it away. The doctor stood up and faced a bookshelf. It was packed a group of dictionaries that could only have been ornamental, meant to make it very clear that the owner was an intellectual. When he pulled several volumes out from there, a large brown envelope peeked out from behind them. He took that out and tossed it onto the desk. It had been carefully sealed with cellophane tape. Its faded color and dryness made it clear that it had been sealed 12 years ago. I asked most solemnly for your silence on this matter. Being so persistent that it was annoying, the doctor removed the seal with a paper knife. Then, when he tilted the envelope, an already open mail envelope spilled out. The envelope had a weight to it, hinting that there was something other than a letter inside. The recipient was certainly Nanjo Teramasa. Just seeing that was a huge shock. Following that incident, Nanjo's corpse had not been found, and he had eventually been treated as dead after going missing under extraordinary circumstances. Extraordinary circumstances, an accident. Despite this letter addressed to a Nanjo in Hokkaido exists. One could almost take this as a sign that he'd faked his own death and escaped to Hokkaido. Was Dr. Nanjo really in Hokkaido? Or else, was there another person with the same first and last names in Hokkaido? If my father had somehow escaped from the accident and lived on in Hokkaido, that would have made us of his family very happy, regardless of the circumstances. I also thought of that possibility at first. However, the envelope's destination address does not exist. In short, this envelope was mail that had no way of reaching him. Is there a possibility that the sender miswrote the correct address? Of course, I cannot deny that. However, judging from that residence's house number, I find that hard to believe. Hokkaido, Ribun Island, Ribun County, Ribun City, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up until Ribun City, it's fine. But I just couldn't wipe away the feeling that the sequential number after it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, was a little insincere. It felt like a fake number that some kid had made up. They probably wrote a nonsense number that clearly didn't exist. I think it's natural to assume that, from the very beginning, this envelope was sent to a non-existent residence to which it had no chance of being delivered. If the destination address doesn't exist, mail is generally turned to its sender. But even in the case of an incomplete address, the local post office will often courteously, and to the best of its ability, research to find out whether the sender's intended destination exists. When they still can't find it, the mail is sometimes returned after an investigation of several days. It seemed the same thing had happened with this envelope, and the stamp was postmarked on October 3rd. So essentially, it sounds right, and they're probably going to say the same thing in a minute. They probably wanted to send it to Nanjo's son, but with a delay. A delayed mail. It was postmarked on Nijima. Nijima was a long way away from Ribun Island. On top of that, the destination was also nonsensical. It had taken more than a week for the mail to be returned. In other words, there was probably a high chance that having the envelope returned to the sender after an unfixed amount of time had been the goal from the very beginning. Why do something like that? Even before asking what it was that had been sent, this envelope was already wrapped in mystery. And inside it? Go ahead. After giving the doctor's permission, I tilted the already opened envelope. Yeah, it's just like specifying a date for a Steam gift to arrive. From the inside came a small folded letter and a small key with a number plate attached. Then a magnetic card slid out. A112 was engraved on the key's number plate. I didn't know what it meant. The magnetic card was pitch black and had gold characters engraved in it. Members was written in English. The jet black, gold lettered card design made it feel like something very high class. But of course, I didn't have a clue what kind of card it was just from that. I unfolded the letter. Its contents were extremely brief, and only the following was written. 07151129. Also written was the name of a certain massive bank known throughout Japan, as well as the words Central Branch. That was all. And this is? It's a card, a key, and a pin for a safe deposit box. And it wasn't a normal safe deposit box either. It was an unsettling one, which was apparently reserved only for special clients. After he finished putting his affairs in order following his father's funeral, he had visited the bank. Pin and key and card. There was no doubt that something of great importance was kept there, and he had been naturally curious about what it might be. At first, he hadn't known what to do. The card wasn't something he'd owned in the first place. When he mustered up his courage and showed the card to a bank clerk, he was then switched to a clerk of clearly high status, and was guided to a large vault in the 4th basement. The security on the way there was strict. The doctor himself stored valuable items such as real estate transcripts and safe deposit boxes before, but this was something on a whole different level. Unlike the procedure at the deposit box I'd been using, with this system, as long as you had a card, a pin, and a key, you didn't need to have your identity confirmed. But anyway, I was frightened at how imposing that secure vault was, and I wondered what kind of shady objects might await me that had to be stored at a place like this. And then, when I passed the card through the reader, I was asked to input the pin, and after the 8-digit number was input and authenticated, I was permitted access to the vault. It was an incredible scene. A world like something from a sci-fi movie. The massive, dimly lit silver room was covered with doors to safes. He had entered that room along with the clerk. It seems that as soon as the card was read, the vaults he had a right to were determined, so that safes he could open were lit with a green light, while those he couldn't open were lit with a red one. A112 was one of those safes that were marked. By the way, there were several other safes marked with a green lamp besides that one. I think there were at least 20. There might have even been more in the other corner. In the event, I only had the key to A112. I had no way of checking the contents of the other safes. As the clerk watched, the doctor had unlocked and opened the safe. When he did, a safe drawer like a large cabinet had opened, and an expensive-looking duralumin case peeked out. Not sure. Whatever. That was carried into a separate room, where for the first time, the clerk left, and he was introduced to the contents. And the contents were? Cash. Cash? How much? I've heard that a pack of 1 million yen in fresh banknotes is precisely 1 centimeter thick. Since those were packed tightly into a duralumin case of such a size, it's probably 100 million in total. I don't know, because I didn't count. I didn't even touch it with my hands. I realized at once, this was dangerous money. It isn't normal to store a whole 100 million yen in cash in a case in a safe like that. It's much easier to deal with if you put it into an account and turn it into numbers. When someone isn't able to do that, then it's clear that there's something wrong with that cash. My mind went blank, and I instantly realized that I mustn't get involved. So you didn't use it at all? Correct. I locked it back up just as I found it, returned it to the original safe, and left. I've thought about throwing away that key and card, but I don't know what'll happen. For that reason, I've been hiding it in the back of this bookcase for a full 12 years. I would take some of it. I would definitely take some. I still do not know what kind of money that was. Could I borrow this envelope? No. Please just view it here. Understood. Then if you'll excuse me, there's something I want to investigate. I took an HN's grimoire from the knapsack I'd set down. Then I opened to the page with a paragraph Beatrice had written to an HN, and compared the handwriting on both. There was no mistake about the characteristic handwriting. The one who had sent this 100 million yen in cash was Beatrice herself. But what is it? Something's bugging me. What is it? What could it be? Yeah. Who the hell are you? I'm pretty sure I got something like that in the mail. Hey Ma, where'd you put that? The same envelope and contents had been sent to Kumasawa's son. Ah, and a portrait for him too. I think that's that is the kanji for mackerel. Saba. I believe it's Saba, right? This is Saba, which is also funny enough. Yeah. So Japanese is funny, and because mackerel is read as Saba, this kanji is used as shorthand internet slang for server. So like Minecraft server or something like that is instead literally, if you're a foreigner who doesn't know, you read it as Minecraft mackerel, and you're like, what the hell is that? It's funny internet slang. It's I guess you could say it's like how we have stuff like L means loss, or you say dub for W, which is win, which is like already several layers deep, you know? So, cool fact, right? But he'd been very busy in the days since, and seemed to have forgotten about it while running around all over the place. I'm shocked that they even bothered giving these characters portraits at all. I mean, it's nice. I like if these randoms have portraits, but it's like the boat guy doesn't have a portrait. But I guess that was episode 1. Maybe he got more invested in making portraits for the randos later. However, its strange contents had apparently stayed in his memory, and he remembered as soon as Angie mentioned it to him. After a bit of a wait, his thin-lipped wife found the envelope, complaining that he always forgot where he put things right away. The modus operandi for the sender and recipient was the same as Najo's sons. The sender was made out to be Kumasawa's son, and the recipient was Kumasawa Chiyo, and the destination address was in the Okinawa Prefecture. Okinawa Prefecture, Yaeyama County, Yonaguni City, 1234567. Yonaguni Island was at the westernmost tip of Japan, and the lot name was the exact same sequential number that had apparently been chosen without much care. Now it was certain. This envelope was definitely sent with the goal of having it be returned to the sender. Its contents were exactly the same. A letter with the pin and the bank's main branch written on it. A magnetic card. A key with an attached number plate. The inscription on the number plate was A113. The number right after the one on the key that had been sent to Naja. Most likely, inside the vault, was the same kind of aluminum case packed with 100 million yen in cash. Interesting. I get the feeling my dead mother sent it to me from beyond the grave. Don't really get what's inside. It's creepy, so I just left it alone all this time until I forgot about it until today. So you know what this is, girl? Could it be that same kind of thing came to your place? What is it, Anji-sama? What are you? Is it a headache? A headache? Sorry, my head hurts. I've got it. I know. What do you mean you know? You don't mean this envelope came to your place too, Anji-sama? I've remembered. A strange envelope was also sent to me 12 years ago. After losing my entire family, I was depressed. But it was a really strange thing to come in the mail, so I still had a faint memory of it. It was a strange letter, which I had no memory of sending, but which had me as the sender, even though she was 6 years old. I forgot the destination address, but the named recipient had been Ushimeda Rudolph, my father. I remember how disturbed I was when I got a letter I thought was from father, opened it up, and found a key in a card that I didn't really understand. I felt let down and threw it away somewhere, I think. Where did I put that envelope? I probably lost it somewhere in the chaos that followed. By now, I have no way of checking its contents. However, I have a general idea. I'm sure the contents were the same. Without a doubt, there had been a key, a card, and a note with a pin inside the envelope. Beatrice. What was she trying to do here? So, did she hand out the stupid money to all the surviving relatives? I won't forgive her for mocking them even after their deaths. Who do you... Angie! Sakataro acted nervously. As I looked at his worrying face, my agitation began to cool off bit by bit. I'm sorry. My hatred of Beatrice isn't anything new. I was just surprised and angered to find out that I had a connection with the witch already, at the age of 6 on that day. For the past 12 years, you've been constantly enslaved by Beatrice-sama's curse. This might be proof of that a curse. Proof of that curse, I guess? But please, hang in there. Breaking through that was supposed to be part of the goal of this journey. That's right. Just letting the blood rise to my head won't get me anywhere. Gotta think calmly. What's going on? What's the meaning of handing out 100 million yen to the relatives? Is she trying to provoke us? Damn that Beatrice. Angie, calm down. What do you? As Sakataro buried his head in my stomach, he urged me to stay calm. I took another deep breath and started thinking. I have to go pee. I'll be right back. I'm gonna heat my coffee back up too, so give me like 2-3 minutes. Yes, I know I have a habit of turning off my mic mid-sentence, so no, I don't need to be told. Okay. I didn't realize that Markiplier was above the BRB screen. I guess that's fine. Until we used it actually use like the party scene I had, I just drag the images in now, it's easier. It's too much trouble. I had it set up so like I could make the whole party like appear and disappear with a single click, but who cares? It's too much work. It meant I had to switch over to the scene every time, and just she would just go quiet and be black for a sec. Ain't worth it. I wonder if this envelope was sent to support the theory that Beatrice was behind the crime. It was postmarked right before the family conference, and it was intentionally set up so that it would be sent back after some time. They wanted it to arrive after the incident, is that it? Yeah, that's what it implies. But it raises deep questions. Why use such an uncertain method? Uncertain? Yes. After all, no one could even guess how many days it would take for the mail to return before you use this trick. Normally, you couldn't even guess at the amount of time it would take for the receiving post office to do the research, determine that the recipient was unknown, and return it. Yeah, now that you mention it, it'd be more dependable if they just set an arrival date and mailed it that way. I was wondering like if you could just do that. Maybe, but still, if they mailed it the day before, no matter how quickly it returned, it would probably arrive Monday or later. What if they wanted to make it seem like a letter from the dead? A letter from the dead, you say? You're right. It surprised me, and it made me feel bad. Some mail with my dead family's name written on the outside in large letters was thrown into the mailbox with an ominous label attached. However, it doesn't really make sense to me. I would have mailed it to arrive on a specified day. I just can't understand why someone would allow the uncertainty of it arriving on a day other than the one they imagined. Would you? But it really does sound like Beato to me. Huh? You know about Beato? Well, I only talked with her a little. Still, I can pretty much accept that Beato would do something like this. Can't you imagine that happening too, Melon? Beato likes pranks like this, right? Yeah, that might be true. I wouldn't put it past Beatrice Sama to try a vicious prank like a letter from the dead. No, that's not all. Beatrice would find it more interesting to do it through an uncertain method, instead of one that was absolutely certain. Magic is all about, like, gambling on a low chance and having a miracle happen after all. That's how it's been described so far. A couple times. She would find an uncertain method interesting? I remembered Mario in Achan's diary. It described playing with Beatrice very often. During those times, Beato sometimes played pranks on the adult relatives with Mario. But those pranks always had a touch of witch aesthetics, which was that they were more interesting when they were uncertain. One day, Mario, Achan, and Beato decided to use a wind-up mini-car she'd brought for a prank. It was a popular toy at the time, and if you made the mini-car back up, it would wind up the spring in the tires. When you let go, it would race forwards. Those things were great. Was it good? I had some of those. I had the, like, city car carpet and stuff. I had, like, a little Hot Wheels garage thing with multiple layers. I loved that, actually. It's cool. They'd wound up that mini-car and set it behind a milk jug. In other words, the prank was that if you lifted the milk jug, the mini-car would jump forwards and surprise whoever did it. That's nice. You could put it in the fridge or something. Never seen someone do that. Hoping that someone would get caught in this prank, One-chan and Beato would watch the adults from the shadows for the whole tea time. They were looking forward to seeing someone get caught by it, but no one moved the trapped milk jug, and the trap ended in a misfire. I mean, someone's gonna move it eventually. When One-chan had then muttered, "We should have put it somewhere where it would have definitely caught someone," Beato apparently said this: "The most interesting and thrilling traps are those where you don't know who will get caught, or even if anyone will get caught at all." It's probably true that you wouldn't get this kind of excitement from a trap that would certainly go off. Similar accounts occurred in multiple places, making it possible to guess that the witch called Beatrice had a fickle character and loved a random thrill. A fickle person is very hard to deal with. I can't spin the chessboard around to find out what that witch from 12 years ago was planning. As Angie examined these, her gaze darted from place to place. Then she suddenly showed interest in the wall. There are several framed pictures were hung. Many of them were commemorative photos from when the relatives of the Kumasawa family gathered or went somewhere to play, and Kumasawa was in several. And she still wore a smile that made it so you could almost hear her latent ho 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 laugh. It's part of my distant memory, but I definitely remember that she was this sort of cheerful old lady. Did you notice anything different about Kumasawa-san in the days leading up to the incident? Oh, she looked the same as ever. The family conference put her on edge, so she was always grumbling about how tough it was. What's this? Among the several frames, there was one that had something other than a picture of people in it. It was a picture of an enlarged relief of a door from a Western-style house or something. I couldn't see any interesting subject in particular, which actually bugged me a bit, as I wondered why anyone had gone to all the trouble of taking it. As I got closer, I realized that some characters had been written with a pen. Oh yeah, that's a photo I got when Mother's belongings were distributed. I think it probably has something to do with that legend of the gold thing. The witch's epitaph, you mean? It was whispered that it pointed out the location of the hidden 10 tons of gold. So, Kumasawa-san tried to solve it too. But this isn't the epitaph. The first time I've seen it. There was an arch above the western-style door, and that's where the relief was. English words were engraved there, and that seemed to be what the picture was focused on. The pen writing appeared to be a translation into Japanese. This door is opened only at a probability of a quadrillion to 1. You will be blessed only at a probability of a quadrillion to 1. I don't recognize it. Nothing like this ever showed up in the epitaph or Neichan's diary. In Mother's belongings, there were quite a few photos and notes that looked like her trying to solve the riddle of the epitaph. Mother was actually surprisingly fond of that kind of thing. There was the rumor that 10 tons of gold bars were hidden somewhere. It's no surprise that she got absorbed by it. In both Maria and Neichan's diary and in her grimoire, there was a description of the witch's epitaph. It had talked about how it was a ceremony to open the door to the Golden Land, Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, Beatrice's succession ceremony, on and on. Maybe the most interesting one was the last part about it being a succession ceremony. According to Beatrice, if you were able to solve the witch's epitaph, you would receive not only 10 tons of gold in the Ushimina family inheritance, but her own magical power and name, as well as the title of Golden Witch. Among the Ushimina family household at the time, the witch's epitaph was thought of as a difficult quiz, which the family head, Kinzo, had arranged for her to choose its successor. But with a marriage sorcery interpretation, the questioner was Beatrice herself, and she had posed the question in part to choose her successor. There are slight discrepancies in the details of the two interpretations. Either way, its ominous contents brought to mind a bloody serial murder. In both of the message bottles, there were a tale of a crime following that pattern. If I could solve the witch's epitaph now, 12 years later, I wonder if I could expose some plot made back then. I tried to solve it many times myself, but I never did have a clue what it meant. It seems that many witch hunters tried as well. I also found theories like the Lopata theory and the Honora theory in certain books. However, neither of these two theories were conclusive. I don't know what these are, but I wouldn't be surprised if these were real theories that fans had that the author denied by putting these notes here. He liked to do stuff like that. You know, people were trying to like solve Umineko as it was ongoing, so sometimes he would like put in hints or outright denials to fan theories as parts of, you know, the future begins. He's kind of a troll author. Are there any other materials? I think so, but they're all split up between my siblings. I don't have a clue who has what. Sorry. Just reading this English text that Kumasawa-san took a picture of, it gives the impression that this was a forbidden door that was rarely opened. But where in the mansion is it, I wonder? Judging by the lighting, it looks like it's outside. I wonder if Kumasawa-san thought the gold might be hidden in there. Who knows? Either way, I do wonder where in the Irakenjima mansion it was. I hate to say it, but there wasn't enough money in Mother's bank account to make me think she found the gold. Haha, she probably didn't find it after all. The Golden Witch, Beatrice, gave 10 tons of gold to Kinzo, which meant that the witch was the true owner of the gold. Beatrice was the owner of all the vast fortune of the Yoshida family. The witch holding this vast wealth had massacred the humans on Irakenjima that day, sending large amounts of money to the surviving relatives like it was a game. Like hell, it's a letter from the dead. This is a desecration of the dead. I was once again convinced. When my family died on the island that day, they didn't go to heaven. They're being trapped by the witch even now, and are being desecrated and tormented for all eternity. Not wrong, not wrong. The last place Andy visited was a store in the region between the housing district and the retail stores, with a signboard saying, Motofuku's Sleep Shop. I want to go to the sleep shop. There lived the man who had been the boat captain of the ferry boat to Irakenjima at the time. She's not even to visit Goda's family, come on. Even he, who had once lived as a man of the sea, had retired after contracting a serious illness, and was now taking care of the house of his son and his son's wife. Oh, now? Oh, I guess, right. Oh, that's weird. No, now he gets a portrait, I guess. 18 years later. No, 12 years later. Wow. It's kind of surprised it doesn't, like, get backported to later releases of episode 1. Cool. I remember it very well. You were still about this small. Look how you've grown. And it must have been very tough on you. Yeah, he does love giving names to, like, these random background characters that don't get shown. I don't think the plane pilot ever gets a portrait right. You'll probably see him in the anime. Probably made up an appearance from there. The former boat captain was in such high spirits that you couldn't really tell why he'd retired in the first place. His memory seemed clear too, and you could remember the events of more than a decade ago well. Apparently, even about how Angie had been at the time. The way he chatted on was very helpful for Angie. At the same time, he also remembered the final family conference very well. And the fact that he remembered even details like Balor's fall madness on the boat was actually painful for her. It had been so back then as well, but even now, there was no public way to cross to Rakenjima. It was necessary to make an individual request to the owner of a boat to make the voyage. I'd been able to arrange for a boat to Rakenjima, so if he refused me, such a voyage would probably become hopeless. I get you. It won't be easy to find a boat eager to go to that island. By now, there are even some who call it by its old name. Akuji Kishima, instead of Rakenjima. It's come up once before, way long ago. Akuji Kishima. It's understandable why the sailors around here would turn down your request. From the start, fishermen had feared Rakenjima as an island of misfortune, and because of that incident 12 years ago, this fear reached a peak. They respected the sea, feared it, and revered it. There were almost no sailors who would try to take a boat to the cursed island. Because of that, most of the witch hunters were unable to cross over to Rakenjima, and are limited to taking a trip around the island. Ironically, this had caused the sense of mystery surrounding Rakenjima to increase even more, which had resulted in the propagation of the bizarre witch stories they loved so much. Would you take me in your boat? Yep. They're supposed to give it back to me just for tomorrow, though it seems its engine has been in a pretty bad mood lately. Who's they? Give it back. I'll knock it into shape. The former boat captain promised that tomorrow he would go back to his previous job and take his boat out to Rakenjima. Now, my method of transport to Rakenjima is insured. As maybe like the company he was with or something maybe kept the boat and he's just borrowing it for the day. Maybe whoever has it. This is probably all I can do in Nijima. All that's left is tomorrow. On Rakenjima, I'll reach the final destination of a journey that stretches back 12 years. Isn't that great? This way, it looks like you'll be able to go to the island. It sure does. I'd heard that it would be hard to find a boat, so the boat captain's helpfulness really saved me. Although it may not be the same as it was for you, Anji-sama, I'm sure the incident 12 years ago has been a thorn for the boat captain as well. Yes, Shima and Jima are island. Yep. One that he still hasn't been able to pull out. Who do you? Even the boat captain wasn't able to sort out his feelings. This whole time, that's probably true. If that guy had taken his boat out on October 5th as promised, there's a chance that he could have saved a lot of people. If he hadn't been hesitant to go out just because of a little wind. Who do you? You shouldn't say things like that. I'm sure that's paying the boat captain constantly until today. Apparently, they truly had been right in the middle of a typhoon on October 5th. According to the boat captain, he had known for certain that they'd be trapped by the typhoon if they headed to Rakenjima on October 4th. But the family had been very persistent about the date of the conference, which had been determined beforehand. It was only natural. All the relatives had been very busy at the time, and they came to the family conference only after arranging their schedules beforehand. So I guess in all the fragments, Brent Castell can't find one where they just don't go to the conference after all. Everyone gets sick or something. It was probably a situation where they couldn't easily push it back to the next week just because a typhoon was approaching. It wasn't the boat captain's fault, but perhaps you could say that he wasn't so irresponsible that he could place the blame wholly on the typhoon. Certainly, just as those two said, there's no doubt that the boat captain has been dragging the events of 12 years ago along with him this whole time. And by taking me, the last member of the Ishimura line, to the island, and bringing me back safely, he might be trying to find some resolution for his past. The boat was supposed to return just after noon. I'll guide you to Rakenjima after that, so we should arrive before evening. It's an island without electricity or lights. You won't be able to stay long. Will you be satisfied with a landing that short? There's nothing that would make me more satisfied by staying longer. I'm grateful just to have you take me there. Yep, don't mention it. If I hadn't parted with my boat, I'd be able to guide you to the island as much as you liked without being stingy. It's not like I have a goal of doing something in particular in Rakenjima, so I'll be there during the evening. The evening, which straddles the two different worlds of day and night, seemed almost like a borderline between this world and the next. or possibly 1998 and 1986, and it felt like the most fitting time to visit Arkenjima. Murder sign. Boundary between 1998 and 1986. It's not like I have anything in particular to do there. Just staying there for a few hours should be enough for me to find some closure. At that time, there was a small knock on the paper sliding door, and Amakusa stuck his head in, tapping his watch. I nodded back and told him about how I'd succeeded in reserving a boat for tomorrow. That's great. It's about time for us to go. We'll be counting on you tomorrow, Captain. Sure, leave it to me. I've heard all about what you guys have gone through. I also watched the talk shows at the time. I was disgusted by the people who stirred up the incident just for fun. I'll help out any way I can. Thank you very much. Then we'll see you at noon tomorrow. Here, the fare for the boat. Angie took a wrapped wad of 10,000 yen bills from her pocket. The boat captain should have noticed its thickness as well, but he paid it absolutely no interest and shook his head. I'm grateful to you. This is a sign from the heavens. I've been given a final chance to take you to Arkenjima and bring you back safely. Now, I'll finally be able to finish the final job Kinzo-san entrusted me with. So I'm grateful to you. I got more than enough money from Kinzo-san back then. I can't accept yours. Thank you very much. Give him the key to the Kumasawa's family's safety deposit box that they don't know the purpose of. Watch your step on the stairs. It's steep. I went down the steep staircase that was the exact opposite of accessible. It was getting hard to believe that there was actually a chest of drawers and a TV in the room upstairs. Most of the first floor was a bedding store, with many futons piled up on each other. We weaved our way to the cramped futon shop. After cautiously checking around outside, Naku dashed out first and started up the car. My grandchild's room is empty. I really wouldn't mind if you stayed there. As you see, we've got plenty of extra futons. Thanks a lot for the offer, but this way, even if the unexpected happens, you won't be bothered. I don't know the details, but it seems you've been caught up in a lot of trouble. There's a rumor that some suspicious people are searching for someone. That wouldn't happen to be you, would it? Who knows? Andrew played dumb, but it looked as though the boat captain had guessed. My job is to take guests to Arkenjima and bring them back again. That job was put on hold 12 years ago, and it still hasn't ended. So, thanks to you, I'll finally be able to finish it. So listen, let me finish this job, okay? You understand me? Yeah. It's not like I'm going there to die. But part of me does feel that, if I could die on that island, I'd surely be able to go to where my family is. I finally become aware of it. I might have been planning to die on that island. I might have come all this way, heading towards Arkenjima in search of a place to die. The boat captain guessed it as well. That's why he repeatedly told me not to die. Yeah, I won't die. I promise. After all, I'm still not sure if there's any reason why I need to go to Arkenjima. No, I'm sure there's a reason. Even if there isn't one for you, there's one for them. That one called you. That's why you came here. That might be true. I might have been called. I was called. For what reason? For them. Father, mother, Battler Oni-chan, and Marione-chan. And Goda. Or maybe the Golden Witch. Beatrice. What is on Arkenjima? What will I achieve? Even though tomorrow's finally almost here, I still haven't been able to understand my own mission. There was the sound of a car stopping in front of the store, and a short honk that could be heard. Then I'll see you tomorrow, if you'll excuse me. Yep. Winding between the stacks of futons in the cramped store, I was about to go outside. Then, my feet stopped. What is it? What's that? That? What? What are you talking about? Trembling all over, I pointed at it. But no matter how much the boat captain squinted, he noticed absolutely nothing in the direction that should surprise me. That must mean... That must mean... Yeah, impossible. But why? Who do you... Angie, what does it mean? What's going on here? I don't have a clue either. There's no way something like that ridiculous. Is this magic? A miracle? Yes, this was probably fate. Now, I understand. This was my mission. What do you... I don't have a clue what... Shaking, I pointed into the thin darkness inside the store and froze up. But what is it? You see something there, don't you? I don't see anything. But what is it you see? Thank you, Captain. Everything was fate. Even me visiting this place was fate. This is the mission and the purpose that I'm going to Arkenjima for. Angie-san? What is it? Is something wrong? No, I don't have a clue either. This girl just froze up while pointing into the darkness. Angie-san? Are you okay? What can you see? Can't you two see it? It's that, right there. Can't you see it? All I see is a normal display case. There's no one there, right? Who are you? Angie, I don't know what's going on. Is this a dream? Magic? What is it? Angie? I think I remember what it is now. Takataro lifted his face towards Angie. From his eyes, slid a single tear. Angie-sama. I understand. One-chan. And Beatrice. Who do you... This is magic, isn't it? I'll leave it up to your interpretation as to what Angie saw. I'm just gonna go just to check and make sure real quick that I'm remembering right. Let's see. Yep. Oh wait, oh, hold on, it says... You see it during... in the background art? Is that right? Hold on. If so, I need to bring that back up then. Oh, you can see the PS3 version background art. Oh, okay. That's silly, okay. Alright, I'm gonna find you that background then so I can show it off so you can see. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people ask. Okay. Is there... I want to bring up the background from before too. Just because apparently it's kind of visible in there a bit, but like really faint and vague. And it's a lot clearer in the PS3 art. I want to get the original art too and bring it back up since I missed it there. Hold on a sec. Yeah, there's a lot of people asking this question. They don't really show it in the anime, I don't believe, either. Apparently they reveal it in Tsubasa later on, which is another BNs. Just trying to see if someone has the original image. I don't want to go in the wiki and look for it because that's too much trouble. One second. As always, don't Google anything about Umineko. That's later, that doesn't matter. Okay, well. I'll just show off the PS3 image then, in that case. Since it's more clear. So here it is. And you can see something suspicious here on the left that really shouldn't be there. It's a bag full of Sakataro dolls. Now why would those exist? The pachinko isn't like an entire VN. They had like character portraits, but they don't have backgrounds, I don't think. So that's not a thing. This is from the PS3 art, which I think is probably the only other one that'll exist. Let's see if I can find Umineko backgrounds real quick. Oh, that's just gonna get me like desktop backgrounds probably. Oh no. I see it actually, hold on. Minor locations. I bet I can find it actually. Yeah, the wiki has all of these with both versions actually, which is nice. Which one is it here? Hold on. Okay, it's gotta be around here. That's... Port and ship, not quite. I think it's in the miscellaneous section at the bottom here. No, it's not. Let me just do another quick skim through this. No, I'm gonna find it though. I want to just check the original one. I'm not sure which song this is. It's definitely one that you hear quite a lot though. Well, you know, I guess actually what I could do is just turn all these to console because I know what it looks like on the console version precisely. Since we just looked at it. So I should be able to find it, maybe. It's not like explicitly clearly shown, but still. Interestingly enough, there's a lot more like backgrounds in the PC version. Like Kumasawa's house gets 3 different backgrounds initially, in like the old kind of like fuzzy art that like you see here. But there's one PS3 background that's like more detailed. I like the original style quite a lot. Oh, I found it, Hold on. There's actually 2 versions of it, lit up and not lit up, huh? Let's see. I want to look at the old one. Stupid ass wiki. Am I supposed to see anything from that? I don't know, I don't see anything there. Here, maybe? I'm just looking through these. Just looking at the old backwards. No, you really can't make out anything that looks like Sakura Taro plushies. Absolutely nothing. So, they just decided to make it more clear, I guess. This one's dead angle. Okay. I do remember that name, at least. A test? Yeah, that sounds right, actually. Yes, listen well. Once again, there was a call from Kraus to the guest house. And the message was that Kinzo wanted to hold a test to see if the grandchildren had the qualifications to become his successor. The head has said that his successor will not be one of his siblings, but he wants to pick from among his grandchildren. Among us. In Kraus's restrained style of speech, Jessica realized as his daughter that he was being forced to speak, and she was forced to realize that the hostages were being exposed to danger even now, and that if they refused this test, there was a possibility that the hostages would be harmed. Then, what should we do? Indeed. Hold on. Kraus put down the receiver, then looked at the grinning Kinzo on the other side of the bars. Kinzo gave his next order. Before the test, those not involved must be removed. Goda and Kumasawa are there, I believe. It'll be a problem if they interfere with the test. Banish them from the guest house. Banish, you say? There should be a gardening storehouse in the rose garden. Lock Goda and Kumasawa in there. We'll begin from there. Tell them to do it immediately. My weapons will be watching. If they have to do anything questionable, I'll instantly stop the test and execute all of you as sacrifices. I understand. Hello, Jessica? Listen closely to what I say. Chris relayed the orders to lock up Goda and Kumasawa. What kind of test are you planning? Truly is a simple test. I only want my grandchildren to show me their resolve. Well then, I wonder what kind of results they'll show me. Haha. Looking disgusted, Kiria watched Kraus, who was talking to the children. I hate it, but for now, we cannot refuse orders. In this dungeon, a feeble resistance won't amount to anything. If we provoke him too much and drive him into a position where he might kill us, there will no longer be any way to stop this murder. For now, the only choice left is to obey his rules without agitating him, all the while waiting for an opportunity. I finished my gamer juice. Only gonna go on a bit longer, because I don't want to do like a certain scene until another session, since I know it'll take a while. However, if we continue to obediently follow his commands, the children might be attacked in this so-called test, and they might even lose their lives. Whether we feign obedience or try to resist, nothing will cause the situation to improve. Anyway, straining our eyes so that we don't let a single chance escape until the very end is the only resistance possible now. While telling yourself this, Kitty watched over Kraus as he delivered Kinzo's orders. Ria-san, let us be patient. I understand. It's unfortunate, but all we can do right now is wait. If only we could do something about these bars, we'd be able to return to the mansion. If only we could somehow get out of here. I'll try something. Kinzo-san, I have a request. What is it, my friend? We understand well that you want to test the children. It is fine for you to do as you desire. Without your power, the Ushimura family might have been destroyed long ago. We truly understand why you want to carefully select the person who will take charge. Besides, that is what the family conference is all about. We won't get in your way. Your insight is useful. That's right, this is the family conference. The final family conference, where I will select my successor. Wahahaha. And yet, Kinzo-san, it is far too cold here. Since we won't interfere with your test, couldn't you take us to a slightly warmer place? And not just words, the slight signs that Kinzo's mood had been improving were blown away. Nanda was struck with a moment of silence as Kinzo gazed at him with dangerous eyes, as though praising him. Certainly, this place is cold. It's tough on an old body. Master, wouldn't it be alright if we moved him upstairs? I cannot do that. Are you naive, Najo? So, by acting as though you'll skip this turn, you truly and splendidly advance your strategy. I'm not falling for that, you see. If you're freezing, then why don't I line the floor with red-hot coals? But my apologies. Virgilia had tried to help out, but in the end, Kinzo was not compliant. You two sure are obedient. If you felt like it, you could easily break these bars. Even if we break them, nothing will come of it. Of course. If you were to break these, it would mean the end of Goldsmith's game. All of you, as well as those humans in the guest house, would immediately become sacrifices for Kinzo's ceremony. But surprisingly, you two might be the only ones, yes? Perhaps only you two hold the power to break out of this situation, right? You want to reach the Golden Land, don't you? You must have many dreams you want granted, right? Trying to stir up chaos. Yep, you mustn't provoke them. This is not your game. It is the Master's as well as my lady's game. What is it, Runaby? Oh no, nothing. We were talking to the prisoners. Forgive us. Gap sent one final sneering smile at Ganon, then turned away. Ganon could only bite his lower lip and shake his fists. Damn it. You did well. Good job hanging in there. We're powerless. Because we're furniture. That's right, we're powerless. However, furniture is sometimes relied upon and even loved. Right now, we've only been stored away in the basement. I hate my chair. This thing sucks. I'm seriously considering getting, like, a proper recliner. I miss having a recliner. I had one in, like, my teenage years from a computer. I had one in my early adult years from a computer. I want a recliner. I want something comfy. This thing sucks. Like, if I try to, like, sit back like this, or, like, put my feet up on the desk, like, you know how these chairs are, like, they start off as kind of poofy, then they kind of go flat, and you feel, like, the bones inside them. And that, like, gets right at my lower back. It's terrible. So I gotta find a recliner sometime. Right now, we've only been stored away in the basement. Surely, one day, somebody will love us, because they'll rely on us. That's why, for now, let's ignore their provocation and bear with it. Okay? Father, I've ordered them to lock up Goda and Kumasawa in the storehouse. Very well. Hang up now. Chester sisters, observe the grandchildren as they lock Goda and Kumasawa away. If they do anything suspicious, then at that moment, the selection test for my successor will be over. When Kinzo made his order, the Chester sisters appeared behind him in a line. Understood, sir. I will scout. 556 and 410 will cover both flanks. 45, you're on wide area surveillance. They're talking to a fourth one that you don't get to see here. She does, it's just though she has a portrait. 556 is, that's right. Sorry. She was a good kid. I guess she's not here right now, but she exists. She has a portrait. I forget. I don't think she's too significant, though. That's why I don't like them, yeah. Good people. What are you doing, Chester sisters? Follow my orders. My apologies, sir. Then let us go observe. Move out. The Chester sisters erased their forms simultaneously. Nanjo and Kirie had witnessed the instance they appeared and disappeared as if by teleportation, but they interpreted this as moving in and out of the darkness in a way that only looked like teleportation. And the two could do nothing but rub their eyes. Well then, I shall begin the preparations for the test. Runaby, Gap, I'm asking you to be the examiners. Virgilia, you'll watch these rats. After all, two of my furniture are here. Just in case, be on your guard. He glanced at Shannon and Cannon. Slightly closing her eyes, Shannon gave a silent bow, and answered wordlessly, avoiding any unnecessary actions. Certainly. I'll be careful. Isn't this cold hard on your body, Leah? Should I bring you a hot water bottle? Shut up. Go quickly. Gap. I know she shortened her name to Gap instead of Gap. My name is Tay, but you can call me Tay. Well, what a strange experience this game is to have a test and examiners. I do hope this development entertains my lady. Come, arise, go to attendance. Virgilia began to call out into the darkness, and from that spot, three massive goat-headed attendants suddenly appeared. Enough of showing off what they look like here. Man, that is so different. I like the old one. They're supposed to be fuzzy. Supposed to be like really furry goats. But it's goofy. I think he probably just didn't draw the heads either to make them creepy or because he didn't know if he could do it right. I feel like having them like this, it defeats the purpose. is saying that, like, you can see them just fine in the anime, I guess. I don't know. They are huge here, to be fair, though. They don't look as, like, big and intimidating as they're described in the original. So I guess that's a plus. Maybe a sprite with a moused out head. Are they? I don't think so, are they? Let's go look. No, see? The outfit's actually totally different. They're unique, I think. Oh, I forgot. I forgot Sakutaro was not looking so hot right now. Whoops. Oh, they get added here. Cool. Once had a daughter afflicted with an incurable disease, but wasn't able to live out a natural lifespan. Fun fact. I'm not gonna read these out loud. I don't think there's anything too significant. But let's see. Okay, so oddly enough, even though like everyone knows they're dead, I guess because like they haven't seen the bodies, they're still alive in here. Funny enough. It should change eventually, I believe. Just it's on purpose. It's on purpose. It's not a mistake. Never is. Ah, Beatrice's minions. How convenient. Plus, they seem so warm. I see. So you use them instead of a hot water bottle. You're supposed to be warm and fuzzy. In that case, wouldn't sheep have been better than goats? You're the one wearing cashmere. They aren't very bright. Faithfully follow orders and are quite dependable. Indeed, I leave it to you, my friend Virgilia. The rest of you, follow me. With a dignified gesture, Kinzo folded his cloak. Following him were Runaway and Gap, as well as the 3 recently summoned goat attendants. Hey, you 3 are supposed to wait here with me. Don't follow them. The goats jumped in surprise and then came tottering back. Kirie, who had been watching stunned as all this played out, couldn't help but snort. What entertaining underlings. But Lord Goldsmith did not give you permission to speak. She was probably embarrassed. Virgilia had spoken coolly, but Kirie saw through that, and for a little while she couldn't restrain her muffled laughter. However, on the inside, Kirie was surprised at the number of people Kinzo had with him. After all, including Kinzo himself, at least 10 enemies had already been spotted. The dungeon they were currently locked in was supposedly underneath the hidden mansion called Kuodorian. Although this mansion had been whispered of, not even Cross had known of its existence until today. Are there actually several facilities like this on Kenjima? Many unknown henchmen that only Kinzo knows of hide? Just how many humans are on Kenjima, locked away by the typhoon? No, on the contrary, were we the only ones under the impression that there were only 18 people on this island? Were we, who bickered over whether Beatrice existed or not, and worried about whether 19% existed or not, nothing more than the frogs in a well on this island? Frogs in a well is a Japanese expression for like someone sheltered who doesn't know anything about the outside. No wait, not only that, by now, are there actually more people on the enemy's side than on ours? Not quite, but we're definitely getting up there. Well, actually, I mean, if you were to add in all 7 stakes and count Kinzo, I think that's 17 people. Jeez. And I guess if you count Beatrice, but she hasn't technically shown up. Well, the stakes haven't shown up here, so we can't count either, but either way. Chinese idiom. Well, yeah, I mean, but it's in Japanese too. That's where I know it from. Naku Kawazu, I believe. I think it's read as Kawazu instead of Kaido for whatever reason. Just what the hell's going on? Witches? Demons? Magic? Are you telling us to believe in those? Am I screwed up, or is it my head? I think I'm losing it. A mass murder by magic. Demons forming and disappearing into thin air. Putting aside the enemy's numbers, how should we interpret the various things thrust before our eyes that cannot be explained with a common sense of our world? Kiria started to feel like she didn't know what was going on anymore, and while desperately battling the urge to abandon everything and give up, she grit her teeth and tried to hold on to her sanity. Yeah, this is like joining a friend's Minecraft server, and like you get jump scared by like the big like nether spiders from Erebus mod. Obviously, Goda and Kumasawa were quite unwilling to be locked in the Rose Garden shed, but they were threatened that, if they resisted, the hostage's safety could not be guaranteed. It was fairly hard to get them to agree, but once they started thinking that their safety might actually be guaranteed if the key to the guarding storehouse was to be handed to them after being shut inside, long-ass sentence, and when it was decided that blankets and food would be carried in for them, they were finally convinced. I might be returning to Meatball Craft sometime soon, by the way. That's still something I kinda want to do. This place is pretty chilly. I wonder how long we'll have to stay locked in here. It could be as late as Monday morning at the worst, so a full day and night. I really feel bad about doing this to you too. George and Ballard cleared a space on the floor, then spread the blankets there. They also left the canned food, crackers, and other light snacks they brought. It'll be hard for you guys to go until Monday with just this. If only we could make a trip to the kitchen. They said not to go anywhere we weren't told to. Sounds like we're being watched. Damn. I'm honestly sorry that we cannot be of any use. And these are the times that we are truly supposed to be at your sides. It can't be helped. He said the line. More importantly, take care of Sawa-san. We don't know what might happen. If the going gets tough, I'd like you to play it by ear and come to the rescue. And more than anything, I want you to be safe. Yes, I understand. Please be careful, everyone. Right now, the Master is taking human lives like the pieces of a chessboard. Please look out for yourselves. Goda stared at the floor, even now unable to believe what had happened as he remembered that atrocity in the dining hall, and he hung his head in shame at his failure to fully describe that terror. Thank you. Make sure you stay on your guard. You too, Musawa-san. And you all please take care as well. I don't have any idea what's going on anymore. Well then, we'll be off. Let's go, Butler-kun, Jessica-chan. Come on, you too, Mario-chan. Ooh. Looking at the pitiful expressions on the imprisoned pair's faces, it got really hard to close the shutter, but we can't disobey. We're being watched. The shutter was brought down and locked. Then George walked toward a small window on the side of the storehouse. On that side, there was a small latticed window that could only admit light and ventilation. It looked like something from a jail, making the two of them seem even more pitiable. But on the other hand, it would hopefully protect them from Kinzo and his subordinates. He opened the window and called out, "Are you okay? You aren't cold, are you?" "We're okay. You've given us so many blankets after all. If we wrap ourselves up, we'll be just fine. I wish we could have brought them a kerosene stove or something. But it wouldn't have ventilation here. It'll probably be tough for them, but there's nothing we can do now. Hostages are being held against us. We can't disobey. Damn it. If we manage to save Hideo and the rest somehow..." Shh. They might be listening. Goda-san, here. It's the key to the shutter. Indeed. I'll hold on to it. Goda take the key, showed it to Kumasawa, and placed it in his own pocket. There's only one key to the guarding shed shutter. That key was being held by the ones locked up inside it. If the children had kept it, and had it stolen from them by some chance, that would do nothing but expose the lives of those in the shed to danger. And even with the key, the shutter could not be opened from the inside. Kinzo's demands were fulfilled this way. However, there was no longer any way to open the shed from the outside either. This protected them. Kinzo had ordered that they be confined, and we could do nothing but trust that this cold, closed room would protect them. Closed rooms don't do much. Jessica watched this while holding Mario's hand. Oh, nice. I'll show that off, Phil. Oh, wait. Oh, no. No, hold on. I'm not going to show it off. It's too soon to show it off. Never mind. Okay. I see. Okay. Jessica watched this while holding Mario's hand, then looked over the thickets from Pitch Black Rose Garden. Somewhere in this darkness, somebody was hiding, watching to see whether we obeyed orders or not. Of course, when we pointed our flashlights out there, no suspicious silhouettes appeared. But somebody was surely out there, hiding and watching. I was hit many times when they would just scream at them, but I was able to hold that urge back through reason. The poor children left the area, repeatedly looking back over their shoulders. The light from the faint light bulb in the gardening storehouse was seeping out slightly. I wonder if this insane incident will come to an end somehow, so that we can meet those two again. To George, who had closed the shutter himself, the resistance of the lock had made it feel as though he'd killed them with his own hands. But even so, we can't defy them. What's with this test? Damn geezer, don't screw with us. Killing Mom, capturing Dad for that. I don't get it. I'll kill him. It's okay, Jessica and Nate-chan. There's nothing to be sad about. Mario. Soon the witch will be arrived. Soon we'll be able to meet in the Golden Land. Hee. Ouch. Don't laugh indiscreetly like that. Seriously, a resurrection ceremony for a witch? Getting so many people involved, in delusions he should have just kept inside his head. That's gonna cost you, bastard. Let's return to the guest house. It'll be bad if we aren't there when grandfather calls. Urged on by George, everyone began walking towards the guest house. At that moment, Jessica turned in a circle, facing towards the darkness of the rose garden, and roared. Hey, someone's watching, right? Tell the old man. Tell him I'm gonna fucking kill him. Let's go. Of course, there was no reply, only the howl of the wind and rain. The children returned to the guest house, while fearing what was waiting for them up ahead. After they left, from the exact point of the darkness that Jessica had yelled at, two rabbit ears sprung up. They're so sorry. They found me out. It's because you're too slow, yeah. Hehe. Pendragon someone's going to scold you. I'm sorry. Please don't tell Pendragon-sama. Pendragon is just supposed to be their off-screen master. Ignore that name. It's just another throwaway name. It does not matter here. Be quiet. It was obviously just a bluff. Koda and Kumasawa's imprisonment confirmed. Mission complete. We'll report back. Yay. Ouch. Do you want us all stuck on nothing but carrots and water because of collective responsibility? Let's go. I like the Chester sisters. In a very old translation, they used to be called the Siesta Sisters. But Chester's correct. He's correct. Okay, that's gonna be a good place to wrap up.